welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me as always is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well, I mean, not always.
Not always.
I mean, not last week.
Hey, now, don't get started.
No, it's all good. So, yeah, back again. Big episode today, too. Lot to talk about. Probably going to be pretty long.
Probably, which is... At least we don't have to add the comics in with it, because I think that'd be like a 3-hour episode if we did all that. We have quite a bit to go over with that.
Yeah, man, for sure. We have, we're going to get your reaction to last week's Bad Batch episode, which, if I remember correctly, was Common Ground, maybe? And then...
yes.
And then we are going to get into this week's episode, which is Devil's Deal. Very interesting, by the way. Mm-hmm. And then... we are going to talk about High Republic, The Rising Storm, which just recently came out. Next book in the High Republic series. So, why'd you skip out of the podcast last week? What's your problem, man?
Well, if I remember correctly, we weren't able to record Friday because I didn't end up getting home till quite later than I planned. And I still had the episode to watch, comics to go through. I think where I was stuck, I was trying to watch the episode, but the service was terrible there, so I couldn't even really get anything done. But the weekend, we both had plans pretty much the whole weekend that kept that from happening for the holiday. So, yeah, we should have just pre-recorded an extra one the week before.
It was just one of those weeks where... nothing was going to go perfectly in order. So
yeah, it's funny actually. Until Thursday night, I had completely forgotten about us recording, and then I didn't wake up early enough Friday before I went to work to watch the episode or read the comics. So
you normally shoot me a text at some point, usually Thursday or so. Yeah. When are we recording? Type of deal. So when I didn't get that, I figured, you were probably busy. So. No biggie. I got through it with the power of the unity and the force and the and the light and life and the not quite Bad Batch, more like Ryloth Batch. Oops, spoilers already. So yeah, man, got a lot to get through. So I guess let's start pretty early here, about maybe the 3-minute mark. It's crazy. How was your week aside from skipping out on everything?
Well, other than just the guilt from that, I survived the week pretty well. No, the week wasn't too bad. I'm burning through some vacation time right now, so I only worked 3 days this week. That was nice.
Nice.
It felt very weird having that break. Of course, I didn't really take a break yesterday. I ended up getting roped into helping my brother-in-law pour footers for his new addition on his house, so not terribly hard work, and it was a decent day for it, but...
Nice.
But other than that, nothing really all that exciting happened.
Yeah, no, we were back in the office for the first time in literally a year and a half. So
yeah, how'd that go?
Just for 1 week, and then we're back at home working. It was fine. Days went pretty quick. Nothing.
People
crazy.
Like hugging and crying, like, "Oh, I missed you so much."
No, nothing like that. We all hate each other. No, I mean it was it felt a little bit more normal. But yeah, it was pretty much just like it was beforehand, except a few people were wearing masks, so that's about it.
Good times.
Word. So anyway, let's just jump right in here to what we have to get into, because like I said, we're probably going to have quite a long-ish show and watch it take an hour to get through everything. So I figured we would go ahead before we talk about as we record this on Friday's episode of Bad Batch. So what were your thoughts on episode 10, Common Ground? Or as I like to call it, the Omega strategic episode.
Yes, the episode where Omega shows that she's more strategic than Hunter and should just lead. Literally.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a terrible episode. I thought it was kind of cool that they had to go to a separatist planet and kind of see that they didn't really get the chance to deal with any of the citizens, but get to see that the people are really not that different from the Republic. And
right.
If I had to hear Echo say one more time, but he's a separatist, I think I was going to just want to punch him in the face. But no, it was a good episode. Not too bad. I did think it was kind of odd that it seems like, and maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems like starting from this episode forward, we're just stunning people now. Like there's no...
I pointed that out when when I was talking about it. It did seem a little strange. Every shot that the Bad Batch took, I think, was a stun.
Yeah,
they didn't actually shoot. They were being shot at.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess they're trying to not hurt their fellow clones for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it's admirable, but it's kind of too late because we're already 10 episodes in and you haven't been worried about that before.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I did think that was kind of strange.
Especially like with Wrecker not using any explosives, just using the stun pulse grenades. I thought that was really odd. Yeah. But the escape was kind of cool, though. I did like that, how they got out of the city.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Through the wall.
Yeah, that was he was a senator, I think, that they were rescuing.
I think so.
Yeah, he knew a lot about his surroundings. So he was not useless.
Yeah, he seemed familiar. I feel like we've probably seen him before in Clone Wars, but I'd be interested to see if he actually has a bigger role in the Alliance.
Yeah, we'll see.
It'd be worth looking into at some point, or seeing if they do it in this series.
Right.
Because I'm sure at some point we're going to deal with the Rebels more than we have.
Sure. Now, this was kind of where I started seeing a lot more comments about people really liking like the lighting and some of the styling of the show, because we had picked up on really early a couple of kind of rough looking textures.
Yeah.
But as noted, like with the little sky Camino and Sky laboratory. Mm-hmm. With the fog and kind of the beams running through, like we both kind of mentioned, that looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there were parts in this that I remember on the planet, and it did look better. It's just kind of strange because it doesn't always look 100%.
This is the most inconsistent of the Filoni series, I think, for animation style. We've had some really great episodes and some that were just really overdone or kind of phoned in, and I don't know why that's happening with this one. It's kind of odd. Like the budget isn't quite there for every episode, maybe.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's up with that, but I remember reading after this particular episode, like there were quite a few people that were really on about it was specifically the lighting. They just really thought that it was lit really well and everything was pretty smooth. So yeah, I don't know. It's, I guess that's valid.
Yeah.
Like
another thing I didn't think to check. Where are we at on the little queue, the little roster of advertisements for Disney? Because I just went straight to the Star Wars page. How far down the list are we advertising Bad Batch?
For this week, I think it was like 8.
8? That's getting worse.
Yeah.
All that Marvel stuff is really messing with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was an okay episode all around. Nothing super spectacular, but pretty decent. What did you think of it? I know you talked about it last week, but we haven't gotten to talk about it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad. It felt short again, and it was just kind of, it was fine. It was a fine episode. The biggest thing that I kind of took is that I'm starting to wonder about, Omega and potentially like her enhancements. Because listen, this whole this kind of lame game. I mean, listen, her little monster guy at the very end took like 2 moves, and bop 2 creatures at once. Like, come on, man. We got to have some
Clearly,
moves.
I don't know this game at all.
Yeah, but right when her and Hunter go up against it, they don't show who actually wins. So it's left ambiguous.
And we don't hear about it on the next episode either.
Right. It's like, is she better strategist than Hunter. I don't know, but I think the other thing that I really liked was that it really brought into relief that the Bad Batch actually does value her as an actual member of the team, because there was like a part in there that I remember like Hunter giving an order to Omega, but is like, she's not here, you know. So I think that was kind of neat. Seems like she's a part of the crew, so I thought that was cool.
We kind of run into another situation where it's seeming like Wrecker's becoming a lot more protective than Hunter of her. Like when they come back and he's kind of hard on her for drawing all that attention, Wrecker gives him the evil eye.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he's definitely, again, that whole dynamic is really difficult, but it's definitely more like, I think, the favorite uncle and like the kind of hard dad that just doesn't know how to connect to kids type of deal in Hunter. So, but yeah, she obviously has a much bigger connection with Wrecker.
It's all about that Mentel mix.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's got to be at a park, right? Like maybe eventually.
It's going to be. It's just going to be caramel corn.
Yeah, it's going to be multicolored. Yeah, caramel popcorn. Exactly.
Maybe they'll throw in some like trail mix stuff in there, like some candy and stuff. But that's all it's going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's going to be $7, just like it's 7 credits.
Nah, dude, it's probably going to be more than that. It's
probably.
Well, I mean, it's like 14 because it's divisible by 7 credits.
Yeah. It was 14 when they both bought one, but they bought 2. No, it was just 14. It was just 14.
Pay the price. You're in Disneyland now. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's jump into this week's episode then. Again, Devil's Deal, but also what I would categorize as not really a Bad Batch episode at all.
No, but also one of my favorite episodes. One of my favorite episodes of Rebels.
Well, I kind of view this a lot more like just a continuation of Clone Wars, really. But yeah, you're right. It has a little bit more Rebels feel because we effectively followed the Syndulla family here. We have Cham Syndulla. No, what? That was his name.
Cham, Cham.
Yeah, Cham. Okay.
Sham. I think they pronounce it Sham.
Sham. Okay.
Yeah.
Syndulla. I remember the face, which again it was kind of altered. And then his wife, and then we get a young and strangely short Hera Syndulla.
With the accent still.
Yes. Yeah. So Vanessa Marshall is the voice actress here, and she is on the IMDb page. They have her down for 2 episodes. So more than likely, next episode will also have Hera in it.
I'm up for that, definitely.
But you're right. In this episode, she has the family accent, which, listen, we're very detail-oriented guys.
Sometimes.
We love the details. And by that, I mean, I rarely pick this stuff out, but it did bother me because I was like, they have French inflection.
Right. You don't just get rid of that easily.
No, the thing is, I just never registered where the accent sounded familiar from.
Oh, really?
And I was like, it's like French.
Yeah.
So it was so stupid of me. But anyway, yeah, no, she did. She lost the accent along the way, but it was still present here, which, to be honest, makes sense.
Yeah. But it was kind of odd how short she was, because obviously we don't know her age at this point, but it's kind of implied she's already at least a teenager. She's probably about done growing, I would imagine.
No, I would
disproportionately short.
I mean, she's a teenager, yes, but done growing, I doubt it. But yeah, because she's definitely much taller.
Well, I'm just saying you would think by now she would be.
Maybe.
Obviously, she does get quite a bit taller, but
yeah, but her head just seemed a little big. And then you have Vanessa Marshall, who is Hera Syndulla's voice, obviously, but it sounded like Hera Syndulla from Rebels, fully grown up, with an accent.
Right. Yeah, it was
not like a younger Hera Syndulla. So no offense to Vanessa Marshall. I mean, you are the voice. It's the same with like Ashley Eckstein and Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yeah.
But yeah, I just I kind of laughed at it. It was interesting, but it was interesting. What did you think about? Oh, and Chopper. What did you think about them
I don't think I
in...
knew that Chopper was part of that family. I didn't really ever look into when they got Chopper, so I thought that was kind of cool.
And that was one of the things. They didn't really talk about it in Rebels, but they did say that she found him. I just, for some reason, thought she found him like later and not while she was on
with
Ryloth.
the crew. Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to see Chopper, and he's still insane. But yeah, so kind of a cool cameo, I guess. A little bit out of the box, though.
Yeah, it was. I did appreciate the setup for them, trying to fight for their freedom in this episode, though. I think this was a good cameo for the Ryloth people, and obviously we didn't get a lot of Bad Batch. They were kind of plot material more than anything. They were just kind of used when anyone else could have taken their place with what they did. Right.
Yeah. It was very, very brief, but essentially the storyline is we're kind of continuing the same type of story from our last episode, where the Empire is taking over planets, and the Senator Ta from Ryloth is basically handing over Ryloth to the Empire. This is what he actually wants. He's not loyal to Ryloth, and he seems to be very jealous of Syndulla because the people will listen to him more. And even when he's doing the speech, everybody's shouting, "We want Syndulla, we want to hear from him." And interestingly enough, he goes up there and he's like, "Yeah, it's all good. Peace, man. The Empire's good. We love the clones." Which coincidentally, we have a new...
Go ahead.
Well, we have a new clone captain, Hauser, who is new. I was trying to look him up to see if he was somebody but he's not. Who seems like he is not fully inhibitor chip controlled.
Yeah, and he's clearly had a lot of time on Ryloth, a lot of time taking care of these people, working with these people, and he seems to be pretty friendly with Syndulla.
Right.
And he's not up for really messing with them. Even when Hera gets captured, they're like, we'll just sweep this under the rug because it wouldn't look good. So we're...
Right. Well, it brought a question into my mind. Are the inhibitor chips like really set for life? Or is it something that will like kind of run out, time, I guess. Degrade over time. Like maybe quicker than you think. Maybe some of these clones might have a little bit, I don't know, their brains doing brain things or whatever. I just kind of wondered because it seemed like up until this point, all the clones were like 100% track focused. But then we see this guy and he's like, well, yeah, I guess I'll do the orders. But, he questions things, which I feel like they shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, you would think right away, especially with the Empire, that they would be decommissioned, killed, reindoctrinated, whatever you want to call it. But I can't see Rampart dealing with that. And obviously he sees it.
Yeah, for sure. There were a couple of looks that I think definitely kind of gave a little bit of that away. So we'll see. Maybe something to watch out for. But another part of this whole Ryloth situation is that the Empire is making all of the people give up their weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a fighting people. I mean, they've been fighting for a long time, and that's why it's so difficult for them to lay things down. And they do sort of at Syndulla's request, but then you have, a group of, dissidents who are buying weapons, and this is where we get the Bad Batch. And coincidentally, I actually just had the episode pulled up, and it looks like, I didn't notice this the first go round. I'm going to try and back up just a wee bit to see if I can recapture the magic here, but now everything's stuttering like a stupid, crappy Disney Plus. Sorry, Disney Plus.
It's not refined.
It's not. What I was going to say is they were like literally, in this frame that I watched, they were like literally two of the same person. So it's like they got a little.
Oh, really?
They got a little lazy. They have a big crowd here too, and it seemed like they got a little lazy on that particular particular run, just reusing assets.
Couldn't even like shade the character's skin differently or anything.
Gold helmet guy, make 4 of them. Who cares? It's like Disney Plus apparently just wanted to crap out on me. I have to like reload the entire page. It wouldn't even refresh.
Didn't they do that in episode 9? Like they started analyzing as all the ships came in for the final battle, and like they were using the same ship in multiple areas just to fluff the numbers.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, again, I'm not angry at it. It is what it is. I understand why.
It's computer animation.
Why
that? It talks and it takes time.
Yeah, and realistically, to the standard eye, they're not gonna notice.
Yeah,
and they're not gonna notice. But yeah, now I'm gonna do a Where's Waldo and try and pick out the same. How many of you are the same Twi'lek with your same hats? Whatever. Sorry, that's kind of a tangent. But yeah, we have. I mean, I'm assuming this is his brother. Did say to Syndulla it's his uncle.
Well,
so
at one point, they have a conversation where is his name Obry,
something like that. Yeah,
Omri, something like that.
Fry. I found the frame. Oh my God, there's multiple of the same ones. There's 2 gold hat girls with green shirt.
What's the timestamp on that?
3:27. There's these 2 people that are they're just wearing the same hats. They have different skins, so they shaded them differently. And then there's 2. Oh geez, the faces of these 2 guys are great. So they did actually do some different colors and stuff, but like there are 2 that are like exactly the same that are standing.
Oh yeah, I see one apart. Where the shirt color is just slightly different, but they have like the same bandolier on, same face. Yeah. Nice.
I will say this though, they did give different stances, so that's okay. Oh no, there's a third one. Here's third one.
Here's 2 purple male Twi'leks, and they have like the little bandolier / yellow
I'm
shirt.
Talking about
one's crossed arms, one's not. That's the only difference.
Well, there's the 3 gold hat ladies. They are literally the same one. That's hilarious. I'm gonna. There's 3 of these specific hats, but they're slightly different. Just the same hat. Okay. Anyway, sorry, that's a tangent, but I do find that sort of stuff to be funny to me.
We're really overanalyzing now. It's okay. Every once in a while, we get obsessive.
Yeah, but sorry. What were you saying about the kind of uncle, but probably not brother?
I distinctly remember a conversation they're having where he's like, "We've been friends for a long time." But yeah, I did catch that where.
Yeah,
it's been long enough that,
yeah. So this
friend uncle that just asked Hera to spy for him and smuggle weapons and stuff. Yeah,
which is where we actually pick up with the young Hera, who is taking a look at the new refinery with Chopper, and she just sort of laying there in the grass and the
daydreaming about flying, not really spying at all.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not spying. We were just looking at things. But she's taken in and kind of brought before her father as they're giving up their weapons and so forth. But then the uncle, not blood uncle, does take her on a run to pick up these weapons. Mm-hmm. Also, coincidentally, Crosshair's here as well. Mm-hmm. But we get the weapon exchange with the Bad Batch. That's literally all we have. And you have this little moment between Hera and Omega where they talk about, like, piloting.
Yeah.
Do you pilot? No. Tick won't let me until I learn everything's name in the cockpit.
All the specs. Oh, it's not about specs. It's about the feeling. And then she says that to everyone. It's like, hey, apparently flying's about the feeling, guys.
I thought it was funny. She shows her room, Mm-hmm. When we're not being shot at, this is where I live. So that was kind of funny. I thought the interaction was cute. It wasn't overdone, because sometimes you can really overdo it, especially when you're not really featuring your main cast of characters in this episode.
Yeah. Literally, they're dropping off weapons for them. That's it. There's no, hey, we're thinking about an uprising. You want to help us? None of that. Although it could be a segue into a part 2 for that.
No doubt. Well, at any rate, the troops, the Empire knows about this deal So they confront them, and Sham Syndulla and his wife and their group do go to rescue the daughter, Hera, and then this other cell. And I don't know. I mean, we have this moment with the senator. We get that the senator is a greasy guy. You know? He doesn't really care about Ryloth, which is understandable. But our admiral here does set up Syndulla, frames him for murdering the senator, as he has Crosshair execute him.
I do have a question about that, though.
Yeah.
Just kind of in general, why did Crosshair have to be here?
Yeah, because he's part of the show. I don't know.
I know, but it just seems like they could have literally had anyone shoot the senator and capture Omrai or Obrai, whatever his name is. And it just seemed like a weird use of him when he could be off trying to find the Bad Batch.
Yeah, no, I get that, I suppose. I think one of my biggest things about Crosshair now, we had speculated when he was hurt by the engine, if that would have somehow fried his chip or done something to that, and it doesn't look like it did. Or at least to this point, it doesn't look like it did. He's still following orders, so...
They might have had to install a new chip, though.
Well, yeah, but they didn't explicitly say that, so it's possible. Very possible, but yeah, I'm not quite sure how that's going to turn out, if anything's going to happen with it. He just seems like he's ready to follow orders now, so...
Yeah.
We'll see. But anyway, and unfortunately, the Syndullas are captured, although Chopper does get Hera away in a speeder. Much of this was a setup, really, for this particular frame job. The only thing that we don't have here, and I'm almost a little scared to see in the next episode. I mean, you do realize in Rebels that Hera's mom wasn't around.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
so
she's probably gonna get. My guess is they're gonna try and break them out. I don't think it'll be an execution. I think they'll try and break him out, and she'll get killed during the escape.
Yeah, it might get a little dark. Not
Her
looking
dad
forward to that.
was around, though, correct?
Yeah.
I don't think he was dead.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that pops to mind, because it's intimate details sometimes, but they were on Ryloth in Rebels, and they meet up with her dad, and Harris steals that thing from Thrawn's office. If you remember that, it was like later in the season.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, he's still around. Now I'm even doubting.
Speaking of
whatever.
Speaking of Thrawn, not that this was Thrawn, but I don't even know if it was Chiss. But on the last episode, did you know the red-eyed Chiss?
Yeah, I just vaguely mentioned that as well in the episode. Yeah, there was blue skin, had some yellow markings on their face. Didn't have the red eyes, but it's like, oh, the Chiss are playing chess.
She's such a good strategist. She can beat the Chiss at chess. We need her against Thrawn.
Which obviously they weren't. It wasn't Thrawn, but still kind of fun.
Right.
To, think
that would
about.
be a hilarious cameo. Just Thrawn in a bar somewhere randomly playing this game.
I've
with
heard
Omega.
that you are very good at games.
I will bet you 10 credits I can beat you.
Do you like art?
I've studied the art of the Kaminoan people extensively for this battle.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
Or would it be would it be the art collection of Jango Fett?
Oh my goodness.
I knew of a bounty hunter named Jango Fett. I just so happened to have some of his
by the name of Jango Fett.
It'd be more like Jango Fett.
I studied his armor to find his weakness. Oh, that would be funny. Goodness. All right. Anything else we want to discuss for the episode?
Turns out it was the neck.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Needed more neck plating.
He He didn't actually have that much plating at all. Yeah, the original Boba armor. Geez, there wasn't much protection on that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything
They
else about
changed
the
that.
episode?
No. Very good episode, though. For how little we had Bad Batch, it was very good.
Yeah, obviously two-parter, for sure. So,
Yes.
this is just part one, kind of cliffhanger into a second part. So, yeah, should be very interesting, assuming we're going to get more Hera Syndulla and,
I didn't even think about this at all.
Okay.
Who do we run into in the very beginning of the Bad Batch series? Which Padawan do we run into?
I don't remember the first episode of this.
You don't remember the first episode?
No.
Dude,
I only have so much room in my brain for this
Dude,
stuff,
we run
man.
into Caden.
You can't remember. Don't give me that
Drawing
crap.
a blank on his name, but what if we start trying to find him again with the Bad Batch and Hera's with him, and that's how they meet?
No,
That'd be
seriously,
awesome.
who are you talking about? Because I do not remember episode
No,
1.
seriously, from Rebels. Ezra's master.
Oh, Kanan?
Kanan, not Caden. Kanan, sorry. We run into him at the beginning of Bad Batch.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, now it comes. I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I
You're
think
fine.
of too much. I think of too much stuff. I can't always remember. But yeah, Kanan Jarrus.
I just think it'd be kind of funny if at some point we run into him again and Hera just happens to be with the Bad Batch at the time, like trying to escape the planet, and they go somewhere and run into him, and that's where they meet each other. I don't know if maybe they're like too young to meet at that point. I don't know how old they were when they met.
Yeah, that's actually not something I've directly looked into. I don't know. Maybe I can Google it. You're just eagerly waiting for this, aren't you?
Yeah.
Where did they meet? There's also that darn book that I wanna pop in at some time. I know I sent it to you.
The Hera book.
No, well, I mean it has Hera and Kanan. Maybe it's not on this. Maybe it's not on this bookshelf. Maybe it's on my other bookshelf. Anyway, whatever. Sorry, we're just rambling, aren't we? Yeah, whatever. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe when we crack open that book. But they've been together for a while. I don't know. I don't know if that would. Why do people write articles like this? How about you just tell me? Okay.
Because they want you to read through the whole thing and see a bunch
Kanan
of
met
advertisements.
Hera on the planet Gorse, 6 years prior to the events of Rebels. So no, they're not meeting now.
Definitely not.
Unless this is non-canon, but there you go. Probably is. So there we go. Is that in that book? Come on. Just give it to me. I don't want the history of Hera. I just want to know. God, I despise how people write things nowadays, which is what we're going to get into here in a second. Realistically, we're done with the episode. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Give us a rating on it. Actually, you have to rate both. Give us a rating on both.
do.
What do you think?
What we do at 10 for shows, correct?
10 for shows and movies. Yep.
10 for shows. I'll give episode 10 a 7.4. Not an amazing episode, not a bad episode. It's okay.
Okay.
This episode I will give an 8.5 because I really enjoyed it. Very good episode. I would have given it more than that had we focused a little bit more on the Bad Batch, but it's Hera. Everybody loves Hera. We love Hera. We're obsessed with Hera. It's awesome. We get a nice little interaction between her and Omega. We get to see a lot more of her family and what they're going through on Ryloth. So yeah, very good episode all around. What did you rate it?
Well, first I'm going to tell you the name of the book. It's called A New Dawn.
A New Dawn.
Yes, A New Dawn, written by John Jackson Miller. Let's see. When is this set at? I've never read it. I have a copy of it, but I've never read it. I think this. Oh, if you can look up the cover for this real quick. Oh man, the faces are hilarious. No offense, but the faces are hilarious.
Stand by. Googling. A New Dawn.
Yeah, actually, so I think this might be the book where they meet because this is the Gore system. So I believe that this is the actual point where they meet. And then it does have Captain Ray Sloan.
Ooh.
So
that alone is worth reading.
Yeah. So it and she is
this the cover you're referring to?
Dude, I can't. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Okay. Their faces are hilarious.
That is pretty bad.
They're bad. They're real bad. I mean, Kanan looks like he's got a wig, and Hera, it looks like a cosplay of Hera. I mean, her eyebrows. She did her eyebrows, brother.
Yeah, she trying to win herself a Jedi right there.
Sorry, it was just not a good cover. But yeah, we need to read that book. I've had it on the back burner and never read it, but we need to get in there.
Yeah.
So anyway,
maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll make a month of Rebels, and we'll do another season of Rebels, and we'll do that book.
Yeah, we could probably get into that at some point. Anyway, as far as a rating for the episode, I'm fine with giving it an 8.5. I don't really have any issue with that. I think it was a really good episode leading into an arc, at least a 2-episode arc, and I think it was nice. I think it was a nice little break, and just a little bit of Bad Batch, but I feel like they're going to come roaring back in the next episode and get a little bit more integrated in. Which would be interesting if the Bad Batch was the kind of the catalyst for Hera getting into the rebellion, basically.
Yeah.
So there
That'd
you go.
Pretty sweet.
Maybe they bring her. Maybe they bring her back to Sid's, and Sid kind of punts her on her way.
Oh yeah. Well, Sid might be one of the people that gives them their jobs.
Maybe.
Even going into Rebels, honestly, never really thought about that.
Maybe.
I think Fulcrum calls.
I think at that point they're already connected to the actual rebellion, Bail Organa's rebellion. But anyway, we'll see. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
What did you rate episode 10 last week?
I don't remember.
Okay.
A rating. I might
pretty low compared to.
To be honest, I might not have even rated it. If I might not have remembered to even rate the thing. I mean, it was okay. It was kind of a. I don't know. It was a rescue mission and proving that Omega can play games.
Yeah,
so it was fine. I mean, 7, 8 probably is okay, I guess, for me. Yeah. It's not a bad episode. It was,
No.
I didn't feel the need to pick it apart. It wasn't much of anything really.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, man. Now that we've got all that out of the way, we need to start talking. How far into it?
We are a solid 39 minutes. That's not too bad.
No, not too bad. But we need to start in on The Rising Storm from Cavan Scott. This is how many pages was this? It was like a 400-page book-ish. 448 pages.
Long on Audible.
Yeah, it was like 14, almost 15-hour Audible read, I think. Very highly rated, like across platforms. Utini gave this book a 9.4.
What?
Yes, a 9.4. Goodreads has it at a 4.4 out of 5. And then Amazon is, out of 114 ratings, it is 4.7 out of 5. So very highly rated book. Now,
that's surprising.
Yeah. Now, actually, let me be concise about that, because as we both stated, dude, we're detail guys. We know the details. We bring you the details. Sometimes I have to stall. Don't say that, please. Sometimes I have to stall until I get the deets, but we've got them. 76 chapters.
Mm-hmm. Why? That's what I want to know. You could have cut that in half.
Yeah.
And most of the chapters, one thing about the chapter break with this is it didn't feel like the end of a chapter to me. Yeah. On a lot of them.
Yeah.
On a lot of them.
Yeah. So I agree with you. Okay, before we get into story, let's talk about writing style, because listen, I'm not a writer, really. I mean, I've written some things that will never see the light of day, but I am not a writer. You're not a writer either, unless you've published something without anybody's knowledge.
I have not. I've written things as well, but I wouldn't publish it.
Yeah. So neither of us are trained writers. We understand that, but I have read a lot throughout my life, and I appreciate good writing. I have been very critical of the writing styles, aside from Claudia Gray, who's a superstar, and what was her book?
Something
dark. Into the dark. There you go. I did not enjoy the writing style from Light of the Jedi, which was Charles Soule. I thought it was insanely repetitive to the point where it got on my nerves.
It was hand-holdy.
Starlight Beacon. How many times can we say Starlight Beacon before you memorize it?
And we're all the Republic.
We are all the Starlight Republic. Now, this is Cavan Scott's chance to come in here. And I mean, he's an author and a comic writer. And when I think about that, I say, well, that is fairly obvious. He wrote this book like a trade novel for a series of comics.
Which
that's what it feels like.
Exactly what he's done with Adventures in the Galaxy or something like that, a series he did around 2016 in the Star Wars universe. Never got into it. Never knew about it until I Googled it just now, actually.
Yeah, no, he also did Tales from Vader's Castle, which I actually thought were kind of fun. He's worked a lot. Like, the guy has been he's done a lot. Mm-hmm. So for me, I don't want to bash him. I'm not unhappy. I'm not like completely unhappy with the book, and also we have to step back for a second here, because he also produced Dooku Jedi Lost.
Yeah.
So,
which was amazing.
It was amazing. It is written completely different, though. So the thing about this is that they switch POV too much, in my opinion. And I'm sorry, you guys might disagree. And here's the thing. Actually, no. They don't switch it too much.
They have
switch
too many.
Well, it's not just that. They switch it by chapter. They could have just continued the story, but just sort of shifted a little bit instead of like, I don't care that you're at the Unity arc 10 million times. It's like, please just finish the Unity arc and then move on to this. Yes, you can have some interplay, but the shifting just, it really kind of deadened certain parts of the story for me. Mm-hmm. Which is unfortunate. And it's funny, I didn't notice the chapter thing until I probably hit, because I remember when I texted you this week and I was like, dude, I don't know. Because you asked, are we doing the book? I was like, I don't know, man. I wasn't motivated. And not because I thought it was bad. I was not motivated to go through a book this week. It's just been, one of those weeks. I just didn't feel like it. But I did it. And I didn't notice it until, because you said, I think you said you were on like chapter 7. And I was like, oh, okay, not too bad then. And then I looked down and I'm like on chapter 14 maybe. And I'm like, how many chapters are in?
How did I get that
Oh my.
far? Yeah.
It's like this has how many chapters? And some of the chapters, like the read time is like a minute, which means it probably was only like a page. You know what I mean? I didn't actually buy a physical copy of this book yet.
I don't think I would want to read this one, truthfully.
I don't know. I honestly think I would have gotten through it faster if I bought the book and read it instead of doing Audible. And folks, I mean, we've talked about this before. We actually do a lot of Audible. We're not sponsored by Audible, but we do a lot of Audible because I actually like having a story told to me. I think it's kind of cool. And generally speaking, it's Star Wars does a really good job of pulling in voices. And Mark Thompson has been pretty synonymous. However, here's another nitpicky point about the audiobook. Sometimes Mark Thompson does voices that I'm not a big fan of, and I'm not triggered by like stereotypical voices, but there was one in here that really did rub me the wrong way. And it was this kind of like stereotypical, like Mexican kind of voice, like Hispanic voice that it's not an inflection from that culture. It's kind of like the plane guy. I never remember it, but he was the kind of like sidekick in Man with the Golden Gun, which I love that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
And the actor has, he was a talented actor, and he, being a little person and so forth, or whatever sorry if that's not what you want to be called now, I don't know, but being able to actually carve out a niche, in the movie industry and be recognizable was actually really cool. But I want to say, I could be wrong. I wonder if he came from France or something like that, but whatever. So he did this voice for a technician. It was a very small part, but there was a technician, and it just hit me the wrong way. I was like, why are you voicing this character like this? Like, where did this voice come from? It was like one person. Where did this stereotypical voice come from? Like, why are we doing this here? So I don't know. It felt off to me for some reason.
Yeah, and maybe this is just me being kind of nitpicky. I didn't really enjoy I guess you would say, Scottish accents. There was a couple.
Oh, on Valos, the people of Valos. Yeah, that was. I don't know. I didn't.
The aide that was interested in Elzar.
Yeah.
I didn't like that voice at all.
Well, it was very breathy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It did kind of have sort of almost a kind of Scottish sort of thing going on. It was, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was bad, but yeah, I'm with you. I think there were a couple that just seemed off.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to find her in my various tabs because I brought up a ton of tabs for names because we never remember. Samara Rayoun.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of our administrators for the New Republic Park. Jeez. All right.
Copyright. We're going to get shut down for that.
I don't care. They can shut down our little podcast if they can find us.
They'll have to pry it from our cold, dead hands.
So the writing of the book, in my opinion, left a little bit to be desired. Another thing that I'm nitpicking about, it seemed like every single chapter started with, and he knew what to do, and he did it, or and he knew the weakness, and then they exploited it. It was always like one of those weird leading statements, almost internal monologue. And I was like, why do we have to do this every time? It's like, why don't you just like describe the scene? It's like on the Gaze Electric. I guess if that would have followed suit, it would be the Gaze Electric knew exactly what it needed to do. And again, I'm sure that's not every chapter, but I picked up on it. And as soon as I develop a pattern, and if there is a pattern, if I develop that pattern in my head, I see it. It
annoys you more and more every time, too.
I see it in my mind all the time. It's kind of like when you buy a new car, and you're like, nobody has this car. Yeah. You see that same car, same color, same make, same model, same trim, same year, all over the place. Yeah. Every single time. It's patterns in nature. So anyway, I wasn't a big fan of that. And then the other thing that I wasn't really, I distinctly dislike, every character attempted to one-up every other character with their knowledge of all the characters. It's like,
yes.
Well, Pan Eta knew exactly. Let me see if I can mimic that voice a little bit. Pan Eta knew everything that Marcion Rowe was gonna do. That's probably Rael Averos. But anyway, every character knew every step on the chessboard that everyone else was gonna do, but it never wound up like that. So it was like, I know everything, but I'm gonna swerve you.
And that was
every
really
time.
bad with Stellan Geos as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Stellan. That's a big point here. So, do you want to try and go through the plot real quick and then hit on some more major points that we have?
Yeah.
Okay, because really the plot I think can be summed up a lot quicker than most of the other books.
Quick when you think about it.
So first and foremost, we have the Republic Fair, the Unity Fair, right?
The Unity Fair.
Okay.
What's the saying? The new saying they have for the Unity Fair?
I don't know. Who cares?
We are all united or one or something.
There was a song that they sung in the audiobook. We are all united.
Oh my God, that was so bad. You got so into that.
I skipped it. I cannot stand the cringe. It was terrible.
And then they had to make a point, like all the parents that were really not into listening to it afterwards.
They were humming it. I think that happened to Bell too. I think Bell Zettifar, who's in the book. I think he even got it stuck in his head. You know, it's like, oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Now you all have that in your head. Anyway, that is so true. That is so true to these overblown, like, state-run things. They have, like, a little kid's choir singing a little kid's song. But I will say, yes, I didn't want to listen to it, but it is so true. That was actually a really good observational point in this book. So I did think that was really funny, but yeah, you're right. So they had the songs, they have a bunch of apex predators, which totally will never become a problem later in the book. Oh, how could it become a problem?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a huge attraction. It's a worldwide attraction with these floating, like, what did they call it? The Sky Islands?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but all of these little sky islands were representations of different worlds. So you literally were like jumping to all these worlds on
you had like dancers
on
of
one
certain
planet,
cultures and all types of entertainment based on that, which is a cool premise.
It sounds sick.
Yeah,
like
if
sounds
they did that
like
with
the coolest
Disney parks,
thing in the
it
world.
would be amazing.
What are you talking about? They totally do. You can go to, random worlds that don't totally stereotype anything.
Okay, but I want a motorized version of these dragon beasts, like behind a phased doorway of some kind, for me to take pictures with my kids. It's
right,
awesome.
but you're right though. The idea of this is actually really, really cool because the galaxy is so big, and if you were able to go to this fair, you get to see how you're connected, and that again, that is the big thing. It's unity. We're all connected. We're all the Republic. So for that plot point, I think is actually really great because that's what Lena So kind of wants. Yeah. She wants everybody to be connected in this spirit of unity, and that's not a bad thing. It really isn't.
Right.
That being said,
but the background of what's going on in the galaxy and we're having this fair is something that does get to me though.
Right, and
like
yeah,
the
you're right. In the background,
actively destroying worlds. The Hutt planet is under siege. There's so many other planets under siege that are just completely taken over. I think it mentioned like the world of Nalhutta is literally all foliage.
Yeah,
like they're taking over the whole planet.
Right, yeah, they are definitely having problems, and you're right. So we not only have the Dren gear, but we also have some Nihil, Pan, Eta attacked one of the shipyards at one point recently, but were driven off. So there's a lot of threats, and then we enter one character. Sorry, too detailed for right now. Let me go through the story, and we'll do individual characters because I don't want to get into the weeds. I want to get the story out and then talk characters because I think it just makes
a better way to do it.
So anyway, we have the fair. A lot of Jedi there, tons of people having a good time. Lina So's doing her thing. We also have the Regassa of the Togruta, which is an entirely different thing. Very cool. Who is visiting here, kind of, they're sort of isolationists, and, maybe we can be friends. And we introduce a ton of characters, which we'll go through. Now, in the background, we have the Nihil, who are basically, they're fractured for the most part. Pan wants to take control. Lorna D's kind of doing her own thing. We have a new Tempest runner who has a super stereotypical, like, Russian accent kind of deal or something
and
like
a mech
that.
suit.
Yeah, and a mech suit. And then we have Marcion Rowe, who is trying to play everyone out. And they come up with this idea that they are going to attack the fair. Makes sense from their perspective. To cause trouble. Yes, and that was the battle cry: death to the Chancellor, death to Lina So. So they're
about
going to try
times.
Exactly. So they're going to try and kill the Chancellor, cause as much destruction, wreck the Republic. Makes sense. So the planet is attacked. It is largely, I don't want to say destroyed, but heavily damaged. The death toll is terrible. There's a lot of details that we're leaving out. We'll get to those. But it is a catastrophe. It is a literal catastrophe.
I mean, this is basically almost on point with the emergences from Light of the Jedi.
100%.
As far as death count.
Honestly, I think it's worse.
Probably worse, honestly.
I mean,
thing
you're
is
right.
Massive.
Exactly, you're right.
Because this is like almost all of the Nihil fleet.
Yes,
and
correct.
all of the ground troops for at least Lorna D and Pan Ada's Tempest.
Yes.
So this is ridiculous.
Now, Marcion is holding back, though. He's not really entering the fray. We get a little bit more with Loden. Great Storm. Yeah. The experiments are continuing. We do get a small part in here where Marcion does go off on his own to find an artifact frozen in ice. That whole thing was kind of interesting because...
That's kind of cool.
Well,
especially
whole process...
with the perspective we had for it. It wasn't technically Marcion's perspective. I kind of like how they did that.
Yes, yeah. I don't remember that character's. I don't remember that character's name he took along, but he was a navigator who is force sensitive. I just kind of referred to him as Birdman because he voiced him like a bird. Yeah. And then we had the Elder, and the whole retrieval of this artifact actually killed the Elder and the Birdman. And we get this sort of thing that this artifact, in quotations, has something to do with the Force, and it can show you visions, bad visions from your life, manipulative visions, which is kind of what killed off Birdman. But Marcion is able to
actually, the boot stomp killed off.
Oh well, yeah, that's true.
They even got a sound effect for that, which was kind of gruesome.
Yeah, he was kind of incapacitated, but you are right. Yeah, Marcion basically did finish it off. So we have that kind of going on. And again, like you said, the Drengir. So Avar Kriss is not even in the story. She's dealing with Drengir, which I assume is going to be, our next story, I would have to assume.
Well, I would say we're kind of lined up with the comics right now.
Yeah, but say? I mean...
Because they even mentioned the twins and everything as well, so...
Yeah, but are they only going to play that out in the comic? I guess I really haven't looked ahead to see what other books,
how are you going to play out systematic destruction of every planet via plant life
with
in
a good
comic?
Writer?
Well, no, how you got to play that out in a comic?
Yeah, you're
leave it in the comic space,
Yeah, 100%. I totally get you there. So anyway, let's continue with the plot here real quick, and we're trying to detail ourselves to death. After the attack has ceased, the Togruta fleet shows up with some of the Republic long beams in tow. They are able to beat back off the remaining Nihil before they kind of start shelling or finish shelling the planet and basically completely destroying everything. We do get into a counterattack against the Nihil. We have a little bit of a scheme to misdirect them to a target. Pan is caught up in a trap, and effectively his Tempest has destroyed what's left of it. We have Lorna and Marchion's sort of complicated relationship. And then we have an event that leads the Republic to the base of the Nihil, at which time they basically rain down the fire, stomp the boots on the ground, and then we encounter the Great Leveler, which we'll talk about at the very end, which is the new kind of fear thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Does that sum up the plot? Did I miss anything major? I mean, just general plot synopsis.
I don't think there was anything else that we missed. No.
Let's run back through this in some detail, because do you just want to start with Stellan?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
Stellan Gios. Yeah.
Stellan Gios was extremely disappointing in this book to me. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm really going to try not to be super negative with this book. It had some good points. It's not a terrible book. But there were some real issues with some of the characters that I had. And mainly, it's Stellan.
So, yeah, Stellan is on the council. He's a Jedi Master. He is, in some ways, kind of becoming the face of the Jedi. He's very handsome.
We hear about, again, very repetitive book. We hear about that many times from many perspectives.
He's just got such a natural smile. But Stellan is a teacher, first and foremost. Everybody says he likes the sound of his own voice, but honestly, I don't think that that's really anything to do with him. I think it's more of a joke, but he likes to teach. He's actually not the poster boy. He really just wants to be a teacher.
He says it multiple times in this book. I don't really want to be the center of attention, but if the Force wills it and that's how I'm able to make a difference, I will do it.
Exactly. But we do get in here that we start off with him doing some saber combat techniques for the HoloNet leading up to the fair. And he talks about having a passion for lightsaber combat.
Yeah.
But the issue is that Stellan kind of consistently gets wrecked in this book.
Yeah. He gets beaten down so many times by so many people. And they're not all Force users.
Right. It just, to me, I understand. You could make some points for, when he fights Lorna D. He's been hurt already.
Correct.
But we have seen Jedi do really amazing things. And we talked about this prior. I'm starting to wonder if Stellan is actually the embodiment of how the Jedi will become, that are less connected to the Force, that aren't able to do these amazing things that like Elzar Mann has been doing or Avar Chris has been doing. Maybe he's kind of the embodiment of what the Jedi will become, a bit more hubris, a bit more into their own hubris and thinking that the Republic is invincible, maybe a bit too complacent, and perhaps a bit too studious and not enough on the action. And then we get some of his backstory, like as a Padawan, he wasn't good at the Beast Mastery. Elzar actually helped him pass that particular section. He wasn't a natural pilot. He had to learn that with age. So I guess what was he good at? Lightsaber combat, we assume. General Force powers, I guess. But
nothing amazing, truthfully, as far as like in the Renaissance era that we're in. I mean, Elzar's doing ridiculous things. He's doing messing with weather and Beast Mastery and all these other cool things.
Well, not just Elzar, but like Avar Chris literally controlling an entire battle group of Jedi to engage in that great disaster. She had a connection with hundreds of Jedi, potentially thousands of Jedi. That is far beyond anything. And with Elzar too, to give credit, with the Storm and all the stuff that he's been able to sort of experiment with, those two are so far above. But then you have, Stellan Gios, who's a council member, I do believe that he has a very heightened wisdom, because some of the stuff, the interactions with Bel Zettifar, the interactions with our reporter, real something, Dyros or something, was that her name? I had her name.
I don't remember the last name.
I remember Rill. Yeah, Rill Dyro. Rill Dyro. His interactions with her, his interactions with Chancellor So, and the Togruta guards and the Queen and everything. Mm-hmm. Like, you can tell that he is insanely smart, sophisticated, well learned, very wise, but he
can't apply it.
It seems like it's like held back for some reason. It's almost like he requires much more focus than anyone we've really ever heard in order to actually get this down.
His connection with the Force isn't necessarily all that strong to begin with.
Yeah, and then what irritates me so much is we pump this guy up because the first we ever heard of him, he's like sending his energy to Avar Kriss over a long range. So we assume this guy,
the longest range of anyone.
Yeah, we assume this guy is like OP.
Yeah.
But then in practice, we learn that he's kind of not. And I guess we can speculate a little bit about why that is, but I think we have to connect it a little bit to the story. So, as we said, Republic Fair. Let's just do Republic Fair. This is Lina So's like one of her big works. You know, she's a big work lady. And I said this to you earlier. Lina So is who Mon Mothma wishes she was in the dead of night when she is not living up to the hype that everybody puts on her. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate Mon Mothma. I just have never understood why.
She's overhyped.
But Lina So is a BA. This is somebody who gets her hands dirty
throughout the entire galaxy.
I don't think there's anything she can't do.
She's kind. She's strong. She's not a pushover.
No.
Like, literally, there is a point where she is just, and this is kind of getting into spoiler territory, but it's a really good way to...
We're in spoiler territory. It's fine.
Right. I should say just, like, jumping too far ahead in the story.
It's
but,
cool.
like, she is literally recovering from essentially being blown up.
Yes.
And there's even a comment, it's like, the second she starts talking, she completely controls the room.
Exactly.
Like, there are people 100%. Thinking she's on her deathbed, and she's like, no, you're all idiots. Just listen to me. Focus on me. Yeah.
Mon Mothma on 2 instances in movie form. Rogue One, and then, I guess this would have been more Return of the Jedi, maybe. She was not able to pull together all of these factions. Lina So, I feel like she would have done that. She would have pulled them together in Rogue One.
You wouldn't have needed Bail or Mon Mothma if you had Lina So. You wouldn't have needed Leia.
Again, no offense, not hating on Mon Mothma. I just don't get the hype. Lina So, though, I get the hype. Yeah. She is awesome. Mm-hmm. Like that is a leader. She leads by example. And, you know, the thing is, you get a little bit of humanization here, too. We see her son. I also looked him up too because I was having a little some of the Kit Rep so Kit So and Kit even was an interesting character too. I actually kind of enjoyed Kit's little adventure with Jom, who was the mayor of the planet's sun, I believe. So it was a little mini adventure, but Lina has engineered things that are dreams for people.
Yes.
Now,
I mean, like we make fun of the Starlight Beacon, but when you consider what that added to the galaxy at the time, that's a big deal. Very big deal. Yeah,
she sees the bigger picture, and she is able to
creating these bonds with, the Togrutan people. She's forming an alliance with people that probably... Could you think of anyone else that could form an alliance with her? Honestly, with the Queen or whatever her title is.
Leia.
That'd be about it. It.
We've said this recently too. Leia should have been Chancellor.
Yes.
Or whatever you want to call that position. She should have been. She should have automatically been leading the Republic after the rebellion. She should have been there, 100%. Anyway, so we're in the fair. I got to pull up. I wrote notes in my phone's notepad because we have new food. I wonder
we have a new wrap. Did you notice that? I can't think of what it was called, but like, man, Ronto Rap's dead. No one's ever gonna want one again now.
Yeah,
and they talk about it so much. Like, there's a few characters that are like, oh, my mouth is watering at the thought of getting to this rap. I wish this guy would shut up so I could go eat my rap now.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to, because I wrote it down, because it was that and Bantha milk, like or a Bantha shake or something like that.
Yeah. My God, how many times did they mention like, oh, the kid's trying to get me to give him more food, even though I already had my Bantha shake and one of those wraps.
Rye-crete wrap or rye-crete wrap.
Rye-crete wrap.
Yeah, and Bantha milk shakes.
Yeah.
Dude, that's going in the park. It's going in the park.
Definitely.
It's going in the park. We dogged Black Spire so hard for that. We got to dog it a little bit here. It was just funny.
They don't do it as much as Black Spire, though. It's not advertisement, but you know it's going to be there.
No, but we did get a couple of really interesting things from the fair, like the medallions. You remember the Jedi medallions that you got when you became like a Jedi Knight, and then the Master got one, and then when you became a Master. So it was like challenge coins, basically.
Right.
So that was kind of cool. Just to see, and really, you're hearing such small bits of Jedi history. Like,
oh yeah,
we're just gonna give you tidbits. We're not actually gonna tell you about anything. Come on, man, give us some stuff. By the way, kind of before the fair, we do get that attack, Pan's attack. And I'm surprised you didn't automatically bring this up because it was the thing with Skewer. Apparently, like Jedi and being impaled by sharp objects does not matter because poor Zeta,
even it's your freaking gut.
Yeah, poor Bell Zettifar gets impaled by a harpoon through his vector, through his gut, and now again, he's just got some fake skin there.
How does this not vent him into atmosphere?
Doesn't matter, dude. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everything's auto-sealed. It's magic. It's totally cool. Don't worry about it. Bell is fine.
Bell is not fine because, like, that talk he has afterwards with Stellan and Elzar, and they're, like, doing that little stakeout, waiting to go deal with the governor, not the governor, the politician who's, like, trying to buy that.
Tina Toon?
Yeah.
Or Tia Toon.
Yeah. And dealing with Ty and everything. And it's like, what's the matter, Stellan? You're unfocused. And then, like, I got this kid who's trying to cut himself off from the Force.
Yeah.
Let's
like, actually talk about...
kids? Like, I got impaled.
Yeah, I mean, like, my master died, and we were really close, and then I got impaled. How do you think I'm doing, Stellan? Let's talk about Senator Toon for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Tina Toon is my brain, I always thought like Tiny Toon Adventures over here. He is concerned about the lack of like a Republic army, basically.
Which has always been a concern.
True. He has a defense bill that he continues to try and push through, and he's kind of rude. He cuts in on like Lena So's like sort of little group here with the Zugruten Queen. It was the Rakasa or the Regasa. I'll
Rakasa,
find it.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. So
yeah, like weren't they in like an elevator? He just jumps in and.
What? Yeah, they had
not elevator, but like the little
platforms that took you to the it took you to each of the islands. So
and he's just screaming at her.
Right. Well, he's rude, but he's got a point. The Jedi can't do everything, and they've just got a big win from the great, in quotations, great disaster. You know, that thing from the first book when blah blah blah. Anyway, but he's right though. Like, they should have the ability to raise something or at least have some defensive capability. It seems dumb to me to not have actual ships. And then we have a ship here, which I don't remember what their ship was called. Doesn't matter. It was destroyed. And it was a science vessel. It wasn't any sort of... Yeah, it wasn't like a protective ship. It was supposed to be... This is where I wrote in my notes. It got a little Star Trek. Because they're like, we're going to use this ship to chart the galaxy and like find stuff and things. Stardate 1-2 Mark 4. I've just found another alien. You know, it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Why can't the Republic have ships?
Right.
The Jedi have ships.
Built by the Republic, by the way. The Vectors are built by the Republic, but they can't build stuff for their own people.
Well, they even have larger warships too. I mean, it's not just like one, just tiny Vectors. They have ships. Mm-hmm. So anyway, but yeah, I think Toon's concerns are entirely valid.
Right, and he actually does show respect to the Jedi throughout this. I mean, yeah, he kind of talks crap in large groups of people to make his point, but when he has his talk with Stellan Geos, he straight up says, I love you guys. You guys are awesome, but there might come a time when you're gone, hint, hint, wink, wink, and we might just collapse if we're that reliant on you. We need to be self-sufficient.
Right.
And it's not a matter of being better than the Jedi. It's a matter of, okay, well, now we have the Jedi and a competent fighting force, so we're good, We can start to worry about these threats less. We can start to expand, maybe deal with the fact that there are plants just eating people and destroying everything, and no one wants to think about that because the fair is awesome,
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, like I said, he's got a point, but you're right. He turns out to be not a bad guy. And it was one of those things where it was like a balance of a knife. He could be a really bad guy,
right,
but he wasn't. He was fine. So let's
There's
continue
actually
on.
even, just kind of getting into him a little bit more, he even makes the comment, like, why are we even spending this money on the fair when we could be using it for the defense budget and all these other things? And he makes comments like, you realize this thing is about unity, but 90% of the galaxy will never be able to come to it, and they're just watching on their holoprojectors at home, wondering
their
why
houses that are too small.
Yeah, wondering why their taxpayer money. I mean, it gets really meta with that, but I don't know. I liked all the points he made.
It made sense. Yeah, it really does make sense because, again, I'm glad that you brought that up because I had forgotten. Not everybody can go to the fair. Not everybody can afford to go to the fair.
Yeah.
So
there's talks
they
of
might
like
be
people
watching on TV.
There's talks of people like saving up a year's worth of credits to be able to afford to go to the fair.
Yep.
Like it's way past the expense of the Columbus Fair. The state fair.
I think so.
It's
man.
an expensive fair.
Well, yeah, it's absolutely beyond scope that we can really understand. So anyway,
plus, this dude's super funny when he gets contacted by the inventor who tries to like sell him a weapon.
Yeah. Let's stop there because no, it's what I'm leading into. But we need to talk about Ty Yorick first.
Yeah.
So Ty Yorick is. Let me actually bring up her page real quick just so that I remember. She is hired by Mantessa Shakat, I don't know, and her daughter Claren, I think was her name. So Mantessa, well, we really find out that it's really Claren that's the inventor, basically. But mother-daughter kind of pair here who have a machine that they have built that stops all sort of energy-based weapons, including
blaster bolts, lightsabers.
Yes. Now, it is powered by a radioactive material that's not safe, but it is what it is. It could be very, very interesting. And here's the thing. Didn't come up again in the book, really.
No, that was a really odd exchange for how much time was put into it, just introducing Ty and dealing with transporting it and showing it to the senator.
I feel like it'll either come up later or it was just a mechanism to introduce Ty Yorick.
I feel like it was, because here's the problem with this weapon. One, it irradiates everyone around it.
That one did. Now, we did learn later that Claren did have a handheld model in her little bangle that used a different material that apparently maybe wasn't as radioactive, but still, the fact that it didn't come up as a plot point later seemed like either the writer forgot about it or just became lazy about it, or it will be highlighted later.
Right. And I don't think it will be used again, because here's the thing. Other than the Drengir, this would not benefit anybody. Because, yes, you take away a lightsaber from a Jedi, but you're taking away your blaster as well. So you're leveling the playing field. If it was just something that nullified a lightsaber, then this could be a game changer. It could be a catastrophe for the Jedi, but it doesn't. So I didn't see the point of it, personally. It could have been completely omitted from the book, and I wouldn't have cared. Like, they could have done anything else to introduce Ty.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. You could have done anything else to introduce Ty, who I like. Theologian, by the way, and we've had a couple of those throughout our stories. Mm-hmm. But
she's actually on the cover of the book, isn't she?
Correct, yes, along with Stellan and Elzar. Yep. So during this whole interaction, basically, so Mantessa is attempting to sell this weapon to Toon. Now, when I was reading through this, it's like, did Toon want this? It wound up, no. Toon didn't know anything about this. He was contacted, and he doesn't want it. He's actually like, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off.
It was actually pretty comical how he was talking about it. It's like, why would you think that I would want to do this to the Jedi? I love the Jedi. I just don't want to rely on them.
Yeah, it's like, what? Yeah, exactly. Now, a battle ensues, and here's part of my problem with this book.
With Stellan.
No. In general, Ty is able to take on two Jedi Masters in Elzar and Stellan and best them both. And even Bell is even here too at this point as well. It doesn't make any logical sense. Ty is not a Jedi. She was a Padawan, and after an incident...
Not even a great Padawan, truthfully.
Yeah, but we don't really...
eyes.
True. We don't exactly get what she did. They just say there was like an incident. There was a brief transference that she did with Elzar, but basically there was an incident with a Padawan. We assume that he might have died or she might have died. I don't really remember. But the issue is that she left the Jedi Order. So she's not 100% trained. She can use the Force, but not as readily, and she has trouble with certain things, including just like bringing stuff to her.
Yeah, and she wouldn't have kept up with Jedi lightsaber training. Like, who would she spar with?
Yeah.
To be able to best a master.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me why she would be able to best Stellan, let alone Stellan and Elzar Man. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
And not to mention, not even so much that she beats them, she would have, for all intents and purposes, killed Stellan had it not been for that machine.
Elzar.
It was Elzar that.
Yes, she basically was going to deliver a killing blow to his heart when the machine was turned on and her lightsaber was extinguished. It made no sense.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's legitimately no way that happens.
Yeah. Unless they're so cut off from the Force.
They're not.
But even then, they would still have a mastery of the techniques that she doesn't.
Yes. And this is that one-upsmanship crap that I hate, because we're inside, I think, Stellan's head first, and he's like, well, she's like a Padawan, and I should be able to totally beat her. And then it's the swerve that you can't. It's like, this should not be allowed to be written this way. And again,
it's anime stuff. Oh, sorry, I gotta level up.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, Cavan Scott. This is not how this should have been done. And again, you can vilify me all you want. That was BS.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and we're going to speculate a little bit on this later, because we did before we even went on here. This is just a defeat in a string of defeats for Stellan Geos. And it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And it will now never make sense, because the next writer either has to write him the same way as a little baby who can't do anything, or write him as this amazing character like he was set up to be from Light of the Jedi, and then it doesn't make any sense, because so why weren't you able to beat Ty, but you're able to beat, like, we bring back the Sith and he defeats a Sith or something. Let's say we do that. It's like you beat a Sith Lord, but Ty kicked your,
Yeah, no doubt. So anyway, that's kind of the pause in that story. They're taken to jail, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So we continue on with the fair, and I think, do you want to talk a little bit about the interaction with Stellan and Bell?
Yeah, sure.
Because I thought that was personally pretty cool.
That was my favorite part of Stellan in the book, personally.
Yeah. Well, this is teacher mode, I think,
Yeah,
and
this
is
his calling.
Yeah, I mean, this is who he is. Yeah.
He's basically the Yoda of this generation. Where
Yoda? You mean the guy who never shows up for anything and is kind of...
Yeah.
Never mind. Screw you.
Mentioned 4 times, I'm pretty sure, in this book. Is Yoda here? Is Yoda here? No.
Oh, it would be really cool. Great if Yoda were here.
It'd be cool if even got like his disciples.
Yeah, whatever.
You're talking about Yoda's Padawans like they're the strongest thing ever, you know.
Whatever. So anyway, let's get rolling. So Bell has been through hell. He lost his master. He has been impaled. He's cut himself off from the Force. We learn a little later that he never really believed that Loden was dead because he could not feel him in the cosmic force, which he couldn't feel him in the cosmic force because he'd not become one with the Force because he was still alive and being held captive by Marchion Ro. But Bell is like a ball of emotions. And Stellan, it was kind of funny because it was like they were looking in the archive room or whatever, showing him the medals and all this stuff, and it's like you could tell Bell wasn't really interested. Stellan understood this, and Stellan connects with the kid. He lets him sort of know about his struggles, and we learn that we already said this, but he wasn't good with Beastmaster. He didn't have the power. That's He-Man. Anyway,
and yet Bell's dog likes him.
Kind of, like at certain points. Yeah, exactly. But then he shares with him in these stories is like, if you ever need anything, you come to me. It's like, no, you're a council, but it's like, no, you don't understand. This is what Jedi do. We're all here for each other, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and they even get into this moment where he talks about losing his master and what that felt like, and dealing with the emotion of that. And, he says, I can't imagine losing my master when I was still an apprentice like you, but I know what it's like because I think what he talks about is how when he would meditate, that would be kind of like his way of communing with his master. And then the first time he went to meditate after his master had passed, it was crushing for him in a way.
Yeah,
which is something that Bell's struggling with as well.
That was really interesting about the meditation because, he basically inferred that because meditation is kind of led by a master in the early years, you form a connection that never leaves you, but when your master is gone, the meditation is different. And you kind of have trouble in the beginning, but then you just sort of have to find each other sort of in the cosmic force again. So, that was actually a really cool kind of like philosophical Jedi thing. I really appreciated that particular part.
Yeah.
And that overall relationship. I thought that was really neat.
Another thing I like is how much they include Bell throughout the story and don't just sign off on him because he's an apprentice. He actually is very useful throughout the story.
They made him...
Yeah.
They just made him a focal point. I thought that was really good. And he even had his own little adventures.
Yeah, they've been doing that with a lot of the apprentices lately, or the Jedi Knights, like Vernestra, for instance. They make them a lot more useful. And it kind of goes back to a Jedi Knight or a Padawan from this generation was ridiculously more powerful than the ones from our generation of Jedi that we're used to. Like, Bell could probably kick Obi-Wan's butt, honestly.
Well, and there are 2 parts where he displays kind of like I don't know exactly how to say this, but more of a supreme concentration so that he can actually multitask. Because they talk about an experience that he has when training with Loden, where Loden says, we're going to go have you test against one of the little droids or the balls, the ball testing things.
That was funny. That was really funny.
But what he said was, he meant plural. He didn't mean single. And he was able to take on every single, test droid, and it was like the most amazing thing Loden had ever seen. And then eventually, when we get to the rescue of Loden, we have a moment where Loden is falling, and he's able to stall his falling, but also with his other hand fight off several Nihil's blaster bolts.
Right, for a ridiculous amount of time too. By the way,
it wasn't brief.
Whereas,
so that was really cool.
Like for most Jedi, you'd imagine that would be difficult enough where you would probably be putting all your focus into catching that person, both hands up, no way to concentrate to deflect. It goes back to what you said. He's a great multitasker in the Force.
Yeah, and let me just start by saying one thing. Do you think two hands actually makes a difference? I think it's more of a psychosomatic thing.
I think that's gone away at this point, honestly. I mean, there have been many conversations about how, Anakin's power with the Force was diminished when he lost his hands because it flows through you and everything, but truthfully, there's quite a few Jedi that don't raise their hand.
It's dumb. I mean, I think it's literally just just an impulse to put out a hand, but putting out both, you're still using the Force.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway.
And honestly, I think it's cooler when you don't do anything. You're just standing there doing something amazing personally.
Yeah. Now, before we get into the fair being attacked, let's talk about the most important thing here. Elzar Mann gets a lady.
Listen, Elzar Mann is a man whore.
He gets a lady, man. Well, okay, so throughout this, we get a couple tidbits of information. One, on Starlight Beacon, he kind of tries to give a little smooch to old Avar, and that doesn't work out too well. And she gives him the cold shoulder. We're not Padawans anymore. Yeah. What we get in this book is when they were Padawans, they were doing stuff they shouldn't have probably been doing. No, they were close, all right. They were close in bed. Now he kind of hooks up with this administrator that we talked about earlier, and they're flirty, and it's not really like a serious thing, but he totally gives over, and this isn't something we see unless we're talking about like Rael Averos,
Right. And it's also inferred that he was drunk because he does not remember anything from the night before.
That was very strange because it didn't really seem like hey, did she roofie Elzar?
Oh.
Did she slip something in the boy's drink?
I don't know, but I think the interactions after that are just awkward. The fact that they really never... Do they even talk after that?
Yeah, they talk towards the end where it's just like she's really busy and she's like, I mean, it was a thing, it happened, you're a Jedi, get the hell out of here. You're good.
One night stand, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Take the walk of shame, Elzar.
So as Elzar is trying to recuperate his pants from under the chair...
I can't believe I've done this. I can't believe it. They're going to be so mad at me.
Yeah, and the fair is getting attacked by the Nihil. So, one, I think that the attack was written very graphically. There are points where people were being crushed. There was something I remember about like a Gungan and a Ferris wheel. Kids, bloody kids.
This is the most violent of the new or the High Republic, honestly. I think.
Honestly, I think it's one of the most violent just Star Wars books, like actual physical written violence. There's always violence, but this is just it felt so graphic that I was almost like, you could have toned this down a little bit.
Yeah,
it would still been impactful.
They describe things way too much. I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed it to an extent. I think that you had to kind of paint the picture of how bad this is, how much carnage is being...
Puts you in the moment.
Yeah, and it also will help when because we're going to see PTSD from some of these Jedi after this event.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think that's going to help paint that picture why they're going through so much.
Yep. So, couple things. One, there is a bit of a tie-in here with the what did I call that? Race to Crash Point Tower or something like that. The kids' book with Vern, Vernestra, and Ram, John Uran, or something, Ram,
Ram to Ram.
Yeah. Anyway, so we actually do get Vernestra in here because she's already here, and kind of there's like bisecting stories, but the Nihil, there was an attempt by one person to basically warn about the Nihil, but like if you remember in the jail, they were laughed at or whatever by the stupid jail droids. But the Nihil arrive. Pan is shelling the planet from the top and from the atmosphere, and you're taking care of ships. And then Lorna's group is on the ground. They deploy their cloud thing, which then brings into another piece of how little I kind of hold Stellan in regard right now, because he's trying to protect these people by creating a force bubble around him, but he is having a lot more trouble than I feel he should be having. So he can't even fight off gas.
He's bumped by someone and loses his focus. Literally, they just walk into him, not attacked.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt a little off to me. There's and here's the other thing too, and I don't know if you read it this way either, but it felt like there was a lot of stuff going on verbally while everybody's dying that seems super inappropriate to a real world setting of real pain and destruction.
Yeah.
It felt like we're going to make these nice, intricate pauses that would never have happened. And who cares about believability, I guess? Am I overdoing that, or is that kind of what you're thinking?
No, I felt the same way. I can't really pull any specific dialogue or moment, but I did get that feeling. It was very disjointed in a way, too. I mean, the way they jumped around with everyone was kind of hard to follow.
Yeah, but I will say the one thing that I thought was done really well was realizing how small one person is in the midst of it all. Stellan is literally trying to save the Rakasa, Lena. So an opera singer, some stupid aide that I wish would have been shot because he did not stop complaining, and then a woman and her child who were the people that ran into him. Mm-hmm. And he can't. Well, there was one part where there are a bunch of people thrown off of a platform,
yes, there's
and he attempted to catch them, but he only caught 5 out of 50,
and the rest die in the process.
Yeah, well, some of them might have survived the fall, but then they got crushed.
True. Yes.
Brutal.
Yeah.
So, how many people do you think a really powerful Jedi could save from falling out of the sky? I wonder.
I feel like Bell could have saved more people.
I don't know.
They do. I do think that one thing is happening, and it doesn't absolve Stellan from kind of being pathetic in this book, but I think every time he has a fail, he's not willing to bounce back from it, and it just destroys his mental integrity and his ability to commune with the Force more and more every single time. And that's a breaking point for him. Because he's looking around, seeing how many people he was able to save, and he's crushed by the fact they couldn't save more people. And I think that, to an extent, that affected everything that he did after that. Every fight he had, every interaction he had, everything. Absolutely everything.
Yeah. Well, he's extremely compassionate, for sure. Very empathetic.
Yeah.
So anyway, we do get to the point where the plan is to take these people to a prototype walker, which I thought was kind of funny, which Lena pilots, kind of.
Because she's the only one who can.
Yeah, which is interesting. And I guess just to sort of wrap up this sort of general portion, and then we'll move on to other arcs. Lorna D and a few of her compatriots do show up. Lorna is able to best Stellan. Now, granted, he's pretty beat down by this time, but again, she's not a force wielder. I just don't necessarily believe it. And then he's still not killed. And as Lorna is going to attack which Elzar actually stops. He shows up out of nowhere, which we'll talk about Elzar more in a minute. One of the shells comes down and basically blows them all up. And yet, everyone survives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind
I wonder if like
with
Cavan was told,
don't kill anybody.
I was just saying, I was wondering if they told him, like Disney told, it's like, you're not allowed to kill any of these people right now. So just let's hold off.
I wonder if he got a list of people he could kill. Because only one main character dies in this book.
Sort of main character. Yeah, more of a main character from a previous book. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
One. So that's kind of where we're at there. And basically what does become relatively famous, though, at least in the story arc, is Stellan effectively breaking down as he's sort of holding Lena So, thinking that she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, she's not, but it becomes like a hollow picture for everybody to look at, and he's holding her and he's crying, which you even pointed out the dialogue in his internal dialogue. He's like, oh, Jedi aren't supposed to cry, but this is like bad stuff. So I think that's where we'll leave Stellan. Who do you want to address next? You want to do, we've got Elzar, we've got Bell's arc, and then we've got Ty.
Well, I
would do
Ty and Elzar. We kind of have to tie in at some point because of what they do
we
together.
can start with Elzar and go with Ty.
We'll do both of those back to back, I would say.
So Elzar, he's getting his pants on. I'm just going to skip because the biggest thing with Elzar is that he touches the dark side.
He what?
He touches the dark side.
Yes. Yeah.
And he uses that to kind of bring down some of the platforms.
Yeah. And it's noticed by pretty much every Jedi there.
Yes. It's not actually made, in my opinion, it's not really made a big deal of, which I find interesting.
Him and Stellan have a talk about it near the end of the book, but it's not...
Well, Stellan's like, I will help you.
Yeah,
we're not going to leave you
super nonchalant about it. It's like,
yeah.
Well, why'd you do that? It's not that... And that goes back to... That's one good character point for Stellan. He really does care about his friends quite a bit, and he's going to take care of Elzar. He's not going to turn his back on him and push him further down that path.
Right, and that's something to point out about like a more current timeline Jedi Order, and then later on, it always seems like as soon as you touch the dark side, you're almost like taboo. But
you're pushed away so much that you're kind of set up to fail, like with Anakin. In a way, every time he started touching the dark side, he was more alienated from the council that really needed to help him. And protect him.
It was either alienation or they just ignored it.
Yeah.
But in this one, yes, Stellan, there's a point there towards the end where he's like, I'm going to take Stellan to Jeddah. We're going to look at some mirrors. It'll be super sweet, mirrors of reflection. And we're going to touch some Kyber. And we're just going to be sick, man. And he's like, even I need to go as well.
Yeah.
So, the thing is like, we'll help you. But he is literally killing people. Like, a lot of the Jedi, the frustrating thing about the Jedi is that even when if we were gonna go into what was our Jedi Knight's name that was up in the sky with Porter in the vectors? I know I pulled her name up here as well. Hopefully I can find it. Now, every page has to reload after you don't look at it for a second. What was her name? Because she, I believe, was looking after Bell. She was kind of like his master after the Indira Stokes.
Yeah.
So this is just a little bit of an aside because it's not a big plot point, I don't think. But like Indira, Porter, which coincidentally, Porter Angle, in his younger age, was Avar Chris, but better. No offense to Avar. I think he would have been an amazing character to follow in his younger days.
Yeah.
What did they call?
He's pretty sick.
I won't expect you to remember. It was like the blade of something or the saber.
Bardota. The blade of Bardota.
Is that what it was?
Or
he
Bardona.
Has a name.
Yeah.
He has like a nickname. That's sick. So anyway, they're up there trying to catch people, but they're also catching the Nihil, and one of the Nihil's able to disable one of the vectors. It's like, stop helping.
Right.
Like, these people, I understand you value life, and that's great, but these people do not, and they are killing you and everyone around you. And that, again, I actually feel like that's more of a hubris of the Jedi. Like, they can save everyone.
Everybody. Yeah.
They can turn these bad guys away from their bad lives. No, you can't. They hate you. They are nihilists.
And by saving some of those people, you're actually killing other people, because if they're able to live, they're probably killing a very large amount of people as soon as they get out of your line of sight.
True. But then to counteract that, we have Elzar Mann literally just killing everyone in his path because he is mad. He's angry. Mad. He's angry at himself. He's angry at the situation. And
he's
then
actually angry at his friends, too, because he feels as though he's been kind of abandoned by both Avar and Stellan to an extent, and he's been kind of doing everything on his own. And he hasn't. But the thing that gets me is, like, there's this moment where, like, Avar can't come to the fairs, so she sends someone else, and that's, like, devastating for him. Like, it was all about him, and she didn't want to see me, so she didn't come to the fair.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, but he's on the warpath, and eventually this leads him to touching the dark side and bringing down the platforms, which is, it's dark stuff. And even after that, he realizes what has been done, and this ties us into Ty's character, who he at first kind of asks, like, I need your help. I need somebody. Right. I don't care who it is. I need somebody to steady me so I don't do it again. And
he had actually taken her lightsaber prior to this after their battle, so he was actually offering it back as long as you stay with me and help me.
Well, and the only reason why Ty was even looking for him was to get her lightsaber. Yeah, he does offer it, but she leaves. She's not here for this. She does come back eventually, and then we kind of have this. What's the thing that the Dragon Ball guys do when they touch tips?
Fusion.
Yeah, they have a little fusion high going on there, and
only instead of touching fingertips, they like interlock hands apparently, and that helps.
Yeah, and then she gets to see his sexy time fantasies.
I thought it was funny that, like, in his inner monologue right before they meld, he's like, Why was I thinking about Avar last in our times together? Yeah. She's going to be thinking, she's going to think I'm so weird.
It's like, you dirty dog.
It's like, wait a minute.
Dirty boy.
I sense attraction. Whoa, buddy. Not to you. Not to you.
Yeah, not to you, man. You're not her type. And then he even gets to see some of her past, which is sort of where we get her, where she sort of left the Jedi Order, but it wasn't really
she was more gated. She had her walls up.
Definitely.
Which kind of defeats the purpose of the melding, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, basically. But they're able to do it, and then they tame some sky dragons.
Yeah, which is... Beast Mastery is a boring force power. Neither of us like it, but it is actually a big deal that they're able to do this. Especially when they can sense... Because Elzar tries to do this beforehand, and I think it was Elzar, and like the beast senses all the terrible things he's done. It's like,
true, yeah, it was another,
he's a threat. No, kill him. But
yeah, exactly. That was cool. It was crazy, but it was cool.
But it does kind of bring up this question, though, to be able to tame both of them. Ty's not really that strong in the Force. This has been established. She struggles. So how much of that was her, and how much of that was really Elzar?
Well, again, I'm not a big suspension of disbelief all the time, but I think for that particular scenario, it's more of a thing that it's a combination of two. So two kind of half Jedi make a whole Jedi, and one whole Jedi should be able to do it type of deal. But yeah,
it was a bit of an anime thing. I'll give it that.
Well, anyway, we're gonna blow past 2 hours, so let's hurry it up a little bit here. They take the dragons, attack Nihil, everything's going crazy, but there's not much else that I don't think we really need to talk about at the fair. Is there? Oh, no, Derp, Bell and Kip and Jom storyline. We got to go quickly over that.
Yeah.
So Kip and Jom snuck away before everything happened, and Stellan and Bell were originally going after her, but Stellan gets a vision, and he's like, I might need to stay here. So Bell goes after the boys. Coincidentally, I just remembered what I forgot. So Elzar saw this. This was his vision.
Yeah.
And he part of his hubris is he thought coming to Valos was going to solve the problem.
Right.
When in actuality, it was just the Force saying, doesn't matter what you do, this is what's going to happen. So maneuvering back to Bell does find the boys. However, this is when the attack happens. The Innovator, that's the ship's name. Science vessel,
ship.
Innovator. The Nihil attack the ship. Bell and Ember, his sweet dog, fall down. And eventually they're able to get back to each other and find a shuttle that had information stored from one of the scientists on the ship about the Nihil's hyperspace jumping ability. So that should come into play later. There was some cheesy stuff that went on there. You remember the Pew Pew thing? Our Corrin pilot who couldn't speak basic, and he was trying to tell Jom to shoot the laser, how to shoot the lasers in Corrin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you mean this button like your Pew Pew? Like, yeah, Pew Pew, you know.
Go Pew Pew. Go Pew Pew. I'll go Pew Pew now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Bell throughout all this, there was a part with, what was it, Dennis, attendant Dennis, the very important Dennis guy who apparently has a ridiculous sense of humor despite the fact that he's being bisected.
Yeah.
What was up with this guy? He's like, don't worry about me. I'm half the man I used to be. It's like, you're dying.
So weird.
Kind of sucks. But Bell was able to save the one woman who was kind of trying to stay there with old Dennis. Mm-hmm. And then he's also able to help this little vessel get out because they're trapped without Bell to cut away some of the debris.
Yeah.
And Bell rides the ship out, and they're all surprised that he's able to ride the ship. It's like everybody can ride ships. Right. Porter Engle just did it, and then he started directing them. It's fine. Don't question it, bro. And even the relief from Stellan when he does learn that Bell is okay after all this was pretty neat. I almost wondered if...
You think that maybe he's going to end up being his apprentice at some point in the future?
That's what I was going to say. So he's obviously been paired with Indira after Loden, and then when we get back to Loden, it's like everything's going to be okay. It doesn't wind up being okay. But yeah, I kind of wondered if there would have been something, because obviously he did a great job with Vernestra. I mean, she was the youngest Jedi Knight in the Order.
Right.
So yeah, I did kind of wonder about that. I for some reason I doubt it, but it would make more sense overall if he could. Mm-hmm. So, anything else we need to talk about just from the battle at the Unity Arc? At another place, back at the Unity Arc.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think we really have anything to go over with that. I'd say it's about time to start focusing a little more on the Nihil side of it.
Okay.
Just kind of.
So the Nihil suck, and I'm really tired of Marchion Row. This is probably the worst part for me for that one-upsman crap. Everybody knows everything about what everybody's doing, but
Pan
nobody
and Marchion
knows.
are just bull crap in this book. It's so annoying, and it. Like we go from, well, I just wanted to make a little extra money for my strike, and I didn't mean to do anything. To, well, I'm going to shock you to death with a helmet. To, I'm going to inject you with this neurotoxin. Like,
well, that's the thing, and here's the other thing too. Marchion has attempted to kill Pan twice, and he can't do it. Marchion
all because of what's her name? The Twi'lek.
Lorna D.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the helmet, he was able to crush himself. But the poison thing, Lorna, but even that was kind of dubious because I
she
think
didn't technically help him; she just extended it. Actually, it says.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, Pan seems to be unkillable, which is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and he is dumb. He is a dumb character because if he had any brain cells, he would have just ripped off Marchion Ro's face.
Yeah, basically.
Because Marchion is a weak, weak coward of a villain. He is literally nothing. He is. I will say this. He's a good villain because I hate him, but in actuality, he is actually a really terrible villain because at any point, if you put in some believability and you didn't just try and write him to be invincible, he would be dead.
Yeah.
Lorna D would have killed him. The new guy would have killed him. Pan should have crushed him like 1,000,000 times.
You know what? The second that the Nihil found out that he didn't really have anything to do with the past, he should have been dead.
And that,
because he has no one in that group that cares about him. Nobody.
It's that is being saved by writing, not being saved by reality. Because he's charismatic. He's not that charismatic.
No, he's not. He's an asshole.
I mean, it's the writing.
Yeah.
I don't think he said anything that's all that interesting from like a leadership standpoint. I know that they respect him because of the past, but when it does kind of get out that he doesn't make the paths, he has somebody that does it. At that point, you kill him, you storm a ship, you take the old lady.
Right.
You're Nihil, man. He is not really a Nihil. He doesn't have that same sort of creep that the rest of them do. And to be honest with you, I don't think he's all that dangerous.
He's not. He's just around things that are dangerous all the time, truthfully. Whether it be the Nihil or this new beast or any of that stuff. I mean,
yeah,
he's a catalyst. He's not the true villain.
Well, this is what I constantly have a problem with. And this actually has a parallel to Kylo Ren. When we speculated about Rise of Skywalker, what I said was Kylo Ren should just be the bad guy. Yep. Just be the ultimate bad guy. Kills everybody. He is just a bad person. But because there was a large contingent of fans who loved the Reylo theories and wanted him to turn good and wanted to follow the exact same sort of formula as the original series, no offense, but it is what it is, they turned him and he turned him good at the end of the movie. But in this case, you have a guy that has no redeemable qualities, but he's also weak. He's nobody. He shouldn't be alive. He doesn't have the Force. He wasn't able to best an emaciated Twi'lek in Loden Greatstorm, who has been tortured for close on a year.
And before he injects Pan, he should have just killed him with that lightsaber. And he could have, and he chose not to.
Well, that's like the Austin Powers thing. If you remember in the first movie with the sharks, with the laser beam, they didn't have laser beams there. I don't know. Maybe he had piranhas in the first movie. It doesn't matter. But it's like you're not going to watch. I mean, I could go get a gun. I've got a gun in my room. We could just shoot him in the head right now. Right. It's like, no, Scott, I want him to be eaten alive by piranhas or whatever. You know, that's that cliched bad guy stuff. Because you're right. The first time with the mask, I don't necessarily know that he intended to kill him that time, but the second time he absolutely did. He should have just killed him. You've poisoned him. He's incapacitated. Chop off his head.
And at what point do you just accept that you needed to? It's not even like, well, I might be able to use him a little bit more. It's like, no, you cannot trust this guy. He will kill you as soon as he gets a chance. And you really can't trust Dee either because she's just going to look out for herself.
Sides.
And the second you look weak, she's going to turn on you.
Yeah.
Even Pan, stupid Pan, knew that.
Well, I mean, Pan's dumb. I mean, he's just a dumb character. Because even towards the end, when he thinks that Lorna is backing him up, when in actuality, she's backing herself up. She doesn't care about any of those people and sends them into an ambush, which, was obvious.
Yeah.
Should have been obvious to anybody. But interestingly enough, she does keep that Pan is alive away from Ro. So Ro at the end of the book thinks he's dead. So that we might get Pan's revenge. We might. But I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to go.
If he kills off Marchion, are you worried about him as a villain, truthfully? He's going to mess up.
Yeah. No, well, the thing is, maybe yes, but I actually would be, because he is a true Nihil. He wants to kill people. Yeah. So that would mean that he would continue like an actual assault, whereas Marchion just wants to kind of pull back from time to time and work from the shadows really slowly. So in the short term, yes, I would be more afraid of Pan-Eta. In the long term, no, because he would blunder eventually, and you'd be able to take him out.
He would fizzle out. He wouldn't take the time to recuperate his numbers, and he'd eventually just be wiped out.
But he could cause some very significant damage in the meantime, so that's kind of one of the fears. But anyway, we eventually catch up with the Nihil on their base, and this is orchestrated through kind of an interesting little play. One of the captured Nihil, which sounded like I pictured him as a much scarier Randall from Monsters Inc. with like a stingy tail and big crab claws, and he was like maybe 12 foot tall with pincers and stuff. That's how I envisioned this guy, and I didn't look up his species to actually see if there were pictures or if he was made up for this book. But he escapes, and we have this opera of Elzar like losing his, brain. No curse words here. Kids show. And like he's choking the guy, and he's like beating Stellan again, like the third time he's been beaten. He's beaten the Neimoidian captain, which I thought was interesting that they used the Neimoidian. He's smacking around Ty with the Force. And then eventually he gets away with our scientist daughter. I instantly forgot her name. I know I have it here in the beginning, though.
She's not very memorable.
Claren. So, who winds up being a double crosser. She's an idiot, too. There's a lot of idiots in this book. Anyway. So, the plan was to let this guy escape so that they could follow him back to the base. Pretty simple plan. And it winds up Elzar didn't have a dark side attack. He was just playing. Yeah. Why'd you have to hit me so hard? Well, I had to keep it convincing, and I don't like you. Yeah. Oh, what did I do to you? I just don't like you. You're Neimoidian. And then eventually we catch up with the Nihil on their planet. While half the fleet's taking out Pan's fleet, the other half travels to where the Nihil are stationed. In the beginning, though, we do have Indira and Bell kind of going in, trying to infiltrate, follow the girl, who winds up again. She shows her bangle, which is like a miniature version of that, machine that she had built with her mother. And she's double-crossing the Republic. He's like, oh, yeah, they're like Jedi in here. It's totally cool. Give me some credits for this thing, and I'll give it to you. Bell feels Loden in the Force finally, so he runs off to help him. Indira kind of has to do her thing. She does save the girl after Elzar and his terrible shooting, like twice. Elzar needs to learn how to shoot, apparently. Yeah. Shoot blasters from his vector. Brings the walls down on Indira. They're able to get out, blah, blah, blah. But one of the most infuriating things to me was the showdown with Loden. And Loden, he's emaciated. He can't really fight. But on their final showdown, he does dodge Marchion's little stinger attack, but he falls. And then as Marchion's looking down, Elzar shoots at him, and he's
blows
dead,
up the platform.
Right? He's dead, right?
Blows up the platform.
Yeah.
Essentially.
But guess what? Marchion rose cool.
Oh, it's a good thing that I jumped out of the way just in time, and my armor saved me, from proton torpedoes, essentially.
Yeah, those things might have scored my lungs from the heat, but, it doesn't matter. I've got my cool Cyclops mask. What?
So stupid.
It's dumb. Listen, I knew he wasn't dead.
It's bad writing, though. You knew he wasn't dead because you knew they were going to pull that crap, not because he should have a reason to be alive.
No, exactly. They're not going to take out this character because for some reason they like him. But no, I mean, it was
I think
stupid.
the
He
Drengir are
should
a
have
lot
been
more
dead.
intimidating than Marchion Ro, personally. I think this would be a great way to wipe out the Nihil, be done with it, and focus on the Drengir from here on.
They didn't kill anybody, okay?
No.
Not
No.
one. Even Lorna D gets away at the end too. So we have to still deal. So they're all there. Lorna, the one guy, the new guy died in the mech suit. I think he got shot or something. So whatever.
Yeah.
He wasn't that interesting. He just had a Gundam wing.
Yeah, basically. You would have had
a
to
Gundam.
be able to fight Pan.
Yeah. So anyway, Marchion's fine, and then he unleashes the Great Leveler, which the Great Leveler is the great bore of this entire book.
Yeah.
That whole sequence with Birdman, sacrificing the Birdman for this relic or whatever in the ice, and then what is it? It's like some beast that freaks out Jedi and turns them to stone.
Yeah, basically.
The Great Leveler can't fly through space. There's no transport technology.
You know what the Great Leveler reminds me of? It's like in the first Harry Potter movie that, I forget what the creature's name is, but like you open up the box, they were showing it in school, and like you could get scared by it, and it would like try to suck out your soul or something.
Oh, that was in the third book, the Dementors.
No, it was in the class in the first one. It would the Dementors too. I guess you could call it that, but there's one in the class. I can't remember what they called it, but it's just super uneventful with this leveler. It's just really boring.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's kind of like primal fear, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's attracted to force wielders, apparently, and it makes you freak out and then turns you to stone. But again, like I was alluding to, you have to release it. How do you release a beast that can't... I mean, presumably, it can't just fly through space. There's no transporter technology. So let's say you want to attack a Jedi ship, big Jedi ship. You'd have to dock with it and put the thing in there. You want to attack a planet, you would literally have to land it on the planet. But then what happens if the Gaze Electric is destroyed? It's trapped on the planet, conceivably, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless I'm missing something.
The way you beat this thing is, I mean, it's already established. There's a device to hold it. Because I'd assume it just goes back to the relic every time.
Yeah,
it's not just hanging out in the ship in the corner, all creepy, being smoke and stuff. Like
he's got the staff. That's what it was. So it's controllable by a staff. But again,
that's right.
Like you still have to release it somehow. You have to transport it unless it's got its own little beast ship that it flies. I don't know. I mean, I obviously, if I were on the ground and I saw it coming at me, it's like, well, crap, I'm dead. But like, if I were in orbit, what's it gonna do? Now,
and
granted,
also, go ahead.
Well, granted, it did take Stellan, or that's exactly the mistake you made before we start talking about it. Now I did it myself. Elzar. It did kind of like take down his ship, but it's not like he was in orbit.
Right. And again, how powerful is this thing? Because it didn't kill Elzar. It was only able to kill. It only was able to kill Loden because he was so weak, more than likely. So, is this really that big of a deal? I mean, a focused Jedi, could they just ignore the fear?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because Bell was right there too, and Bell was affected.
Nothing,
he was like,
nothing really happened to him, though. I mean, he was depressed after, but he was depressed because the master died.
I don't know. I mean, they said he was curled up in a ball, so I think that remains to be seen how bad he is, because like there's probably something more to it. But I mean, why didn't he turn him to stone too?
Right.
Like, why? I don't know.
So again, that just goes back to maybe it gives you PTSD, but it can't kill you unless you're already super weak or injured. So,
well, I mean, I assume it probably could kill about anybody. There's something about Bell. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But I don't think it has anything to do with him being weak. I could be wrong.
Maybe.
But the point is like, why am I afraid of this? Why am I more afraid of, or why should I be more afraid of this than the Drengir?
Well, I don't think they described it very well either in the book, honestly. I mean, it's not intimidating by just the description of the beast and what it does to you. It shows you nightmares, and it wraps itself around you. It's smoke.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting something about this yet. Maybe eventually it will materialize something different, but.
And another thing about that too is I feel like the issue with the Drengir is just the numbers and how ferociously they fight. I don't think you needed to introduce this character, this big monster, to make them intimidating, because they clearly can cause a lot of damage regardless of that, and the Jedi were kind of unable to stop them. I mean, truthfully, the Jedi did not save that many people. They didn't stop this. It was the force of the Republic that drove them back eventually, and the Togruttans.
Right.
So why are they worried about this relic? The Drengir are what the Jedi need to be worrying about. They didn't need to introduce this extra monster.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Whatsoever. So what do we do with this going forward? Don't think I care. But it's probably going to be something like they're going to release it on Coruscant or whatever, and I don't know. Anyway, so the Nihil fleet, though, is pretty much sacked. Yeah. Lorna's on the run. Marchion's like, I'm going to put a GoPro on this monster so I can see what's up. That was, whatever. I'm sorry. It's dumb. You just GoPro your dog, you know. See where it runs around to during the day.
Oh, no, I wouldn't mind GoProing Bell's dog.
Well, it'd probably
like
burn the darn thing off.
Well, true. But it'd be entertaining to watch
lava.
Him. Yeah. By the way, the sound effect for his bark was pretty entertaining, too, in the audible version.
Yeah, some of the sound effects were a little bit iffy for me, or some of them also were delayed. Like, every now and again, you'd get, like, and they fired, and then if like a second or two would go by, and a pew, 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 you know, it's like, well, that was really delayed. Nice job, editor of audiobook. Mm-hmm. Okay, so anyway, as sort of a mild wrap up, that's really it. That's where we leave it. We leave it with Stellan finding the stone of Great Storm, which when he touches it, it just sort of blows away. And that's really where we leave the book. There's no extracurricular after that. It's just that's it. So
I find it weird that they only killed off Loden, truthfully.
They made Loden go through hell, and then he almost escapes, and then we kill him.
Yeah.
Great. Like I said, there's a list. You can't kill these guys.
Truthfully, the Wookiee Jedi probably should have been dead.
Oh, like Buryaga?
Yeah, it's like, I like Buryaga, but is he important enough that they couldn't kill him? Like, do something tragic?
What'll wind up happening is Buryaga with his super emotions is probably going to like have to fight this thing and he'll defeat it because he's super emotional or something. Yeah. I don't know.
See,
but yeah,
I feel like he's actually at a disadvantage because he would feel the fear of every other Jedi around him, though.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. He constantly Buryaga's problem is that he is so empathic that everything affects him so much, which is kind of terrible for a Jedi who has to draw on, positivity and hope and everything. But when you're over encumbered almost with fear, it's like how do you combat that?
It's like he has the potential to be one of the strongest Force wielders, but also be one of the most worthless Force wielders at the same time. Just depending on the mood of the room, literally.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that's kind of the end of the book. Anything else we want to mention before we kind of start giving ratings and wrapping up for the day?
No, we've definitely talked long enough about this one.
I was just running through my notes to see if I wrote anything down. Nope, pretty much we mentioned everything. Oh, there was one other thing. Did you catch the mention of Sereno at the beginning of the book? The Count of Sereno, old Dooku's planet. They mentioned him.
No, I didn't.
They mentioned the current count at like the beginning. It was just like really brief. Yeah, I thought it was funny.
That's cool.
Because they were like, can you imagine the Count of Sereno with like a fleet of ships? It's like, yes,
Yeah,
I can.
yeah, I can.
I remember exactly how that worked out. Just a different count.
Nice.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. So out of 5, what's the rating? What are you giving it?
I think I'm going to give it
9.4 out of 5. Right. Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely.
Teeny. You're killing me.
No, I'm going to probably give this a... I'm going to give it a 3.8.
Okay.
The story was... There wasn't much of a story, truthfully.
Well, here's the thing, just real quick. So Utini actually has 5 different things that they rate for for a total rating. So they do plot, characters, writing, entertainment, and originality. I mean, I'm not trying to copy Utini, but
I mean,
no, it's
okay.
cool.
So
just go with
ahead.
the
You know what?
original
No. We'll do it. Why not? So plot was first.
plot.
I'm not going to do separate ratings, but that's how I'll describe it, like why I'm giving it the rating I'm giving. The plot was nonsensical to me. I mean, there are so many times that Marchion should have been dead, and I don't think Pan would have been able to pull this off, and that's just essentially the end of the story. Marchion should have been dead, like, at the very beginning of the book. There's no reason why he should be kept alive. He has no followers. He's got no one to protect him. And Pan's a freaking beast. He's massive. It's ridiculous to me. The whole thing with the fair, like, I get it for the unity of the galaxy. Sure, we got to unite the Republic and all that, but we've got, in the background, the Nihil destroying people, the Drengir just causing so much chaos, and we're worried about entertainment. I just don't understand that at all. So to me, the plot was kind of weak. I wasn't a fan of it at all, personally. What was the second one?
Characters.
Characters are the strongest and weakest point of this book to me. It was very disappointing with Stellan. Elzar is kind of right in the middle for me because, like, he had a lot of cool things happen, but he was kind of a baby at the same time on certain things, especially with Avar Chris. Mm-hmm. You had some really cool characters. Bell shone so much in this book. He was amazing. Lyanna So, she's probably my new favorite character at this point with everything going on. There was not a whole lot about this book that I can talk positively about. I'm really trying to pull some things out there. There were some cool fights, but it just seemed like it made all of these Jedi that were pumped up in the first book out to be really weak, and it was disappointing for me.
Understandable.
So I don't know what else to really say about it.
Yeah.
So what's your rating?
What is my rating? I have a little bit harder time, honestly, rating this book when I've thought about it. Like pre-podcast and everything, because overall, like, I don't think it's definitely not the worst book I've ever read. Part of my problem is the writing, is the structure of the writing that kind of kills me a little bit, and then the over sort of anime-ness and the one-upsmanship of everybody that just bothers me a little bit. I think the characters are probably the strongest thing about it. Mm-hmm. And there were certain points in there where the writer, Cavan Scott, really did display some pretty cool emotions. But then there were points where it just really hit pretty wide left of the mark. And it doesn't really help that I just wasn't interested in starting a book this week. So that, unfortunately, it's a reality. I wasn't into it. So I wasn't as into the book as I can be when I'm ready to start a book. I feel like we probably should have maybe pushed it back, but I also like to be current and semi-topical as well. So out of 5, I'm probably thinking I'm on the cusp of like that 3.9, 4.0 sort of realm. I would probably say being, trying to overcompensate maybe for my lack of interest in just starting a book. I'm just going to give it a 4, just strictly because it does make me think a lot about, how Stellan is, contrary to the way we thought. Elzar's sort of, problems that he's having. The plot devices aren't interesting. Like the Beast is not interesting to me. The continuation of the Nihil. I feel like this book, The Rising Storm, is a terrible title for this book. I think that this should have been, I don't know, The Falling Storm. Whatever. Storm's End. That's a Game of Thrones thing. Yeah, call it Storm's End, because honestly, this book should have been the end of the storm, and then you pick up, and then you have to do it out with the Drengir. I think they're just trying to extend too much, because Marchion Ro is a tool. I don't care about him at all. I hate him, so that kind of makes him a good bad guy, but at the same token, I think he's useless. I wish Loden would have impaled him several times. But it did have some interest, some intrigue. I think in the beginning it slagged around a little bit. It was just a little slow. But it looks at themes like these grandiose fairs and, this attempt at unity and testing unity. But again, I think the characters kind of save it a lot more for me because of the strength of Lena So, the Togruta, just in general. Elzar's struggles kind of are not a bad thing for me. Even Elzar and his lady problems, I think it makes me laugh. Not that I'm sadistic. I just think it's funny that he's running around trying to find his pants.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there was some disappointment there with Geos, and I think he's just a wise Jedi. I don't think he's a particularly powerful Jedi. And I almost wanted to hear more story with Bell than I did Stellan, or at least with them together, like put them together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't terrible. I think it's better than Light of the Jedi. I don't know that it's better than. I don't think it's better than Into the Dark.
No, it's not.
I think that probably was the best one out of all of them. Even though I think we were a little critical on Tree People, if I remember back. But still, I think with the comic accompaniment, I kind of get it a little bit more now. I just had to let it wear in. But yeah, it's an okay book. 9.4, though, is absolutely insane.
No, there's no way.
4.4, again, like we said on Goodreads, I understand that. And then a high 4.7. I think 4.7 on Amazon. Amazon's usually pretty marshmallow-like, though. They don't tend to hate anything. But 9.4, ugh, that's a yikes for me, bro.
There's no way.
That's a yikes. I'm glad they liked it, though. Sincerely, I am glad that they liked it. I hope, and this is the thing, folks, I feel like I have to give a lot of disclaimers now. For my YouTube channel. I know you don't watch my YouTube content. It's fine. But when I like make up these rations and stuff, do a lot of this freeze-dried stuff, right? I will make them how I want. I don't follow instructions because I kind of know better than the instructions. I've just been doing it for a long time. I get a lot of people who, why don't you follow the instructions? It's like, well, why don't you listen to the channel for longer than 5 seconds so you understand why? I've put a disclaimer in every single freeze-dried ration video I've done explaining why I do what I do. Mm-hmm. I have to do it every time because there's always someone who questions it. It's nuts.
Wow.
But, putting sort of a caveat on this, listen, we might be critical of a book. That doesn't mean it sucks. You might like it. I want you to go read it. personally, I would like you to read it before you even listen to our review, so you can either you formulate your own opinions. And we probably should say that at the beginning of these episodes, maybe next time.
Yeah.
But we have been critical of High Republic. I was highly critical of their release times. But we've been critical of the books, too.
The release times are ridiculous. With how long they've been working on it, there's no excuse.
It would have been a great pandemic companion.
Yes.
I think we would have been more excited. But yeah, it's tough. But we're always going to tell the truth as we can see it. And that's all we can do.
Yeah.
So anyway, this one ran long just like I thought it would. So
we went through quite a bit, though.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think we'll go ahead and wrap her up here. Make sure to check us out on the Facebook, Twitter at TC Plan Podcast. And if you have any sort of, like theories or questions that you want to ask the show, we will be more than happy to go over those. I actually do have. Do you want to stretch this out a little longer? Because I just remembered I did have something from someone.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. This is from my friend Chase, and we've talked about him a little. He's actually been on the podcast. Chase runs These Are the Voyages Star Trek podcast. So he actually had 2 questions here, just some opinions. And again, you can just forward these on off to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. So first thing, I'm curious about your thoughts on about acolytes, which we don't know too much about yet.
The show.
Yeah, it's my understanding that Acolyte takes place during the time of the High Republic. I might have times messed up. But what do you think, again, if it's in that timeline, if like Elzar and maybe Avar were somehow involved in that? I think the problem is we don't know much about Acolytes yet.
Yeah, it'd be all speculation. I can't really talk a whole lot about it. But, I mean, essentially, the premise would be, obviously, we're dealing with dark side users, whether they're Sith or not. We don't know. But,
yeah.
So the idea of Elzar and Avar going up against maybe this insurgence of Sith or Dark Disciples, that'd be awesome. I would love to see that. I think they would make a great team for that, and we haven't really gotten to see that yet. And anything with Avar would be amazing, just for her linking ability.
Yeah.
I think that would be... I imagine these, like... So the trailer for Old Republic, the PC game, had this amazing battle scene with a ton of Jedi and Sith, and I could just imagine her being able to link everyone together and just wreck the Sith. I mean, she's so overpowered, so... Yeah, I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm actually going to try and look up and see if there's been any updates. Acolytes, I don't know. I don't really remember being crazy excited about it personally.
It's because they gave us nothing to go on.
So what we are being, and this is kind of what my thought was, but I wanted to confirm. So it looks like the idea is... emergence of dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic. I feel like, first and foremost, I have a feeling that one of our 3 Musketeers is probably going to be sacrificed at some point, but I could be wrong. And it might be for this.
Or turn.
Maybe.
We're already leaning that way.
Chris is the one. Avar Chris is going to turn.
No.
Nope. It's the swerve, bro. It's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Right now, everything is just so bogged down with everything. Now, the events currently taking place right now, I always have to think about this. 200 years, right? We did settle on 200?
Yeah.
It's not like 10 years before.
Well, we don't know when the true end is going to be. Because there could have been a period in between the Republic and the
True,
but
to my point is, as I'm wondering if, like, being human, Avar and Elzar and Stellan will already be gone at that point. So if I had to take a guess, I don't think they'll be in it. If I had to take like kind of like a what would I do as a fan, yeah, that'd be cool, but the timeline would have to make sense. But yeah, I'm not sure. And again, Acolyte. I think we kind of have a mild assumption that we're probably talking about maybe, Plagueis
Yeah.
Possibly finding Sidious, maybe,
Could be.
maybe.
But
I mean, what else would it be?
But it
at
says
that
a
point?
resurgence of dark side powers,
Emergence, not a resurgence.
Did I say resurgence? I'm sorry. Emergence of dark side powers, not users. Because to an extent, we can't have this massive invasion or attack from Sith because we already have it established in the movies that we haven't seen Sith for thousands of years. And so that would have been...
Sure.
It would break the timeline a little bit where, like, what are you talking about? Like 100 years ago, we just almost got wiped out by Sith,
Well, I'm not talking about wiped out by Sith, but the beginning of the formation of new Sith.
Sure.
So again, when we talk Plagueis and then finding his apprentice.
That would be cool.
Or Acolyte. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't know, but I don't know what else you would place in that. So this is going to be like a 3-hour podcast now. All right, last question. I keep thinking about kyber crystals and knowing that the Jedi and crystals choose each other and they bond together with color becoming a thing afterwards. However, the different types of Jedi, Guardian, Counselor, Sentinel, are tied to a specific color, as I understand. What gives? Does the one choose the wizard, or is it like, whose line is it anywhere where the rules are made up and the points don't matter? So... Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing because like lightsaber colors in the original series were only a thing because they wanted something more to pop on screen, so they had green show up. But yeah, the idea of the kind of class in there is certainly a thing, but more so, at least in my opinion, and this isn't based in lore or any sort of substance, but just in my opinion. One, you absolutely, I don't know if it's necessarily that the kyber crystal specifically chooses someone. I think you go through a process and you are bonded with a crystal. Mm-hmm. And it's just that, it's like, you're almost finding like your soulmate in crystal form. Mm-hmm. And that could take, it's almost a trial for young Padawans to even find their crystals, and we had that in the short little episode. Well, yeah, true. But we also had that in Clone Wars with Ahsoka and Yoda taking the younglings to the that one spot that I can't remember the name of. So Ilos, for me, what's that?
Isn't it Ios or Ilos or something where they
I believe you're right, actually. So as far as that goes, I don't think the color, at least again, in my opinion, not backed up by any sort of scientific fact, the color is just sort of who you are more so than anything else. It's like, it's just the embodiment maybe of your aura, chi, whatever, and that bond between you and the kyber crystal. So I don't think it's like you have a kyber crystal and then you choose like I'm going to be a guardian so I have blue type of deal. I think it's far more of a personal thing, and honestly I think it's kind of a mistake giving the specific colors like a class.
Yeah. I don't know.
What do you think?
Back in the day, I love my RPGs. I love class-based things, so I always liked the idea of it back in the day.
I really like to be put into different classes.
But the more I thought of it, the more I saw plot holes with it. So the idea is, a good example of that would be, the problem is the theory breaks down when you start to actually look at Jedi, because, like, Yoda has a green lightsaber, but he's an extremely strong Force user, so realistically... Or no, I'm sorry, I'm getting those backwards. So green was for those strong in the Force. Blue was for those strong in combat, actual physical combat. And then, of course, you have only red for the dark side for obvious reasons.
Well, then just to add on there, not to chop you off at the knees, but really like when you talk about yellow was like more Temple Guard. So you were. It
was a
like,
generic thing more than anything, truthfully.
Yeah, it's just become more popular because, granted, there are a lot of people like yellow, but then Rey,
Yellowblade.
Yeah.
But, like, then you look at purple, and there's no consistency with purple. You know, you got Mace Windu, Mara Jade.
Samuel L. Jackson just wanted a purple saber.
Yeah, he did. Like, you got Mara Jade, and you can't compare them in any way because they're completely different characters. You have Jaina. To me, the one that always made the most sense is obviously the lightsaber for a Grey Jedi.
Sure.
Because I believe that is a good embodiment of the belief system, but I think what you said with aura makes sense. I think that has a lot to do with it. But I know with the amount of color options there really are, it's weird to me to really make it a big deal. Because if you're talking about aura, there could be so many different spectrums for that, so many different types of personalities and people. And I don't think that Obi-Wan and Anakin in Episode 3 gave off the same aura when Obi-Wan was toting around a blue lightsaber. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. There's just so many colors now, and it's more about I think it's more about a personalization factor than anything else. But again, to me, it's more about the feeling, more about the connection than a class. And I think we've just put the classes in the rear view, so to speak.
Right. And honestly, if I'm being honest here, I would rather focus on hilt design more than color. I like a cool design for a lightsaber like Dooku's, something unique.
Well, and the hilt design is such a personal process that they go through sometimes a long period of time before they can even properly assemble their saber. And that's such a stylized thing. And like even in the High Republic now, we have all these gold accents and everything. A little bit more intricate design than perhaps we've seen in latter years and latter times. So, yeah.
Which is good because they were really generic on the original book cover art.
Well,
except for of ours. I think theirs was always unique.
Well, Stellan has the crossguard, droppable crossguard, so his actually drops down. It's not like Kylo Ren's. So,
but they don't really mention that in the books.
They mentioned
all that much.
No. Yeah, you're right. They mentioned it, I think, maybe like once in the very beginning when he first draws it, and maybe one other time. I could be wrong, but yeah, they don't. I mean, would you want to hear it over and over again about how his crossguard drops down
and Stellan ignited his lightsaber and then the badass crossguard came out?
Yeah, we didn't even really mention he dual wielded at one point during book 2.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks.
Didn't work well for him, but no. I'm kidding.
No, well, not much worked for him, unfortunately. We've got to head out though. We've definitely had a long show here. Hopefully, you guys don't mind the gigantic show. But let us know what you think about everything. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you, Chase, for writing in. Appreciate the questions. It's actually really, really nice thing to do.
Yeah. Or if you need
nobody
to do
else
that.
does it. So, but all right, folks, that's it for this week. You guys have a great one.
And as always, may the Force be with you.